Chapter 1709. Now that we've taken care of everything, what's next? Heavenly Goddess Yu Ji and the others gathered around him. Aside from a small number of people who knew who Yi Tianyun was, everyone else had no idea who he was. Initially, when they tried to attack Yi Tianyun, they were quickly intercepted and explained to them. Recover as much as you can now. There's going to be a huge battle soon. After all, it's not going to be easy to get out of here, Yi Tianyun said. What about the teleportation spell formation on the outside? The biggest problem was that they couldn't use the teleportation spell formation on the outside. Only the evil spirit tribe could use it. Not to mention that Yi Tianyun was still under the control of the evil emperor. Even if he could teleport, he couldn't control it. Don't worry, we'll just have to modify it a little. I'm sure that won't be a problem for you, right? All you have to do is hide in my body, and you'll be able to get out easily, Yi Tianyun said with a smile. That's indeed not a problem. Heavenly Goddess Yu Ji's eyes lit up. All they had to do was modify the teleportation spell formation slightly. However, they couldn't completely modify the effects of the teleportation spell formation. After all, they basically couldn't teleport over. This was a point-to-point teleportation spell formation. If the teleportation spell formation on this side was destroyed, how could they connect to the teleportation spell formation on the other side? Hence, all they had to do was modify the teleportation spell formation slightly. This really wasn't a problem for the heavenly creators. Since they were known as the Sky Creator Clan and could even create the heavens, modifying a teleportation formation wasn't a big deal at all. It could be described as a walk in the park. However, there's no hurry. We haven't come to rescue them yet. We'll modify them when the battle begins. Otherwise, I'm afraid that the evil emperor will immediately know about this, and all our efforts will go to waste, Tianyun said in a grave voice. But even if the evil emperor comes, he won't be able to capture us without paying a price. Heavenly Goddess Yu Ji chuckled coldly. Her eyes were cold to the extreme, and killing intent surged from her body. This time, they had all come out and weren't trapped. Even though they had been tortured for a long time, they were still in a decent condition. After all, they didn't dare to torture them to death and only wanted to control them. That was why now that they were all released, they were all incredibly powerful heavenly deities. At the very least, the heaven creators here were all heavenly venerables. As for those with weak cultivations, they would rarely appear. The heaven creator race was extremely rare. Their children would break through to the divine lord level at birth, and when they grew up, they would break through to the heavenly venerable level. Thus, the heaven creators were rather heaven-defying. Most of them were heavenly venerables. This was the bloodline of a god. To be a divine lord at birth was enough to show how powerful he was. Thankfully, the higher one's cultivation, the harder it was to reproduce. Otherwise, the heaven creators would truly be invincible. This was the same as the god spirit race. Their cultivation and talent were shocking, but their reproductive abilities were too poor, so their numbers were always maintained at a stable number. At most, their numbers would increase slightly, but it was very difficult for them to increase by a large amount. Even in Yi Tianyun's divine realm of the three realms, it was difficult to increase it by much. Unless he married someone from a different race, the number would increase by quite a bit. However, that way the bloodline would not be pure enough, and the corresponding abilities would be much weaker. Thus, it wasn't that they didn't want to marry, but that their abilities would be greatly weakened. In that case, they wouldn't even be considered a god spirit race. If they didn't even have the most basic innate abilities, how could they still be called a god spirit race? There were gains and losses. This had always been the case. Only when the situation was extremely difficult would they choose to marry. In order to continue their bloodline, they could only choose to marry. If they were lucky in the future, their descendants might even be able to awaken their bloodlines and strengthen them to the orthodox level. It should be said that it was quite good to be able to unleash the strongest effects of both bloodlines. Heavenly Goddess Yu Ji and the others were all prepared. Thus, even if the heretical emperor discovered them, they would rather die than let the heretical emperor have his way. After all, being controlled here was a fate worse than death. They would rather fight the heretical emperor to the death. While they were preparing, Yi Tianyun's side was already charging over. A group of heavenly gods was charging over. Apart from Yi Tianyun, the others were all heavenly gods. It could be said that a large group of experts had gathered here. It's a pity that there are still a large number of realm lords who haven't gathered here. There are at least a dozen realm lords in total. If they all join forces and attack this way, we won't have to worry about the heretical emperor at all. The Sword Edge realm lord shook his head. I went to ask them before, but they completely ignored me. They are completely focused on the Medicine God Temple. If the Medicine God Temple doesn't join, they won't join. The Medicine God Temple is so powerful. There are a dozen divine realms that have a good relationship with it. Yi Tianyun was a little surprised. Yi Tianyun had learned a little about the Medicine God Temple after he found out about it. The Medicine God Temple was an independent existence. It didn't ally with anyone, nor did it participate in the battle of divine emperors. It could be said that it didn't care about the evil spirit race's nonsense. It could be said that it maintained an absolutely neutral existence. As long as the evil spirit race didn't provoke it, the Medicine God Temple wouldn't care, let alone send people to attack. This meant that even if the surrounding divine realms were occupied, the Medicine God Temple wouldn't send a single soldier. It could be said that it was selfish. Of course, it could also be said that the Medicine God Temple was extremely independent and thought that it could withstand everything. Even if the evil spirit race attacked, they could deal with it. After hearing this, Yi Tianyun didn't have much of a good impression of the Medicine God Temple. This kind of absolute independent existence was good under normal circumstances. But that was relative to the situation where there was no evil spirit race. The evil spirit race was an absolute existence. Even if the Medicine God Temple was absolutely independent, it would be meaningless. He was afraid that after the evil spirit race ruled here, they would definitely devour the Medicine God Temple. But the Medicine God Temple didn't care about anything, which made him feel very disgusted. Now there were a dozen divine realms that had contact with the Medicine God Temple. If the Medicine God Temple chose to join, they would definitely choose to join. This made him feel very puzzled. The Medicine God Temple was crazy, and the other divine realms were also crazy? Didn't they think about the terrible disaster brought by the evil spirit race? Yes, they are all the same as the Medicine God Temple. They don't care about these things. Although they don't completely obey the Medicine God Temple, they have a good relationship with the Medicine God Temple. If the Medicine God Temple chooses to join, they will definitely choose to join. In short, take down the Medicine God Temple, they will definitely choose to join. Chapter 1710. Absolute neutrality made Yi Tianyun very unhappy with the Medicine God Temple. He really wanted to see what was going on with the Medicine God Temple. Were they that confident that they wouldn't be invaded by the evil spirit race? The Medicine God Temple doesn't care at all. Why are they so confident that they aren't afraid of the evil spirit clan? Yi Tianyun asked. The Heavenly Medicine Temple is indeed the number one. Legend has it that the Heavenly Medicine Temple once had an emperor god. Don't you think they are arrogant? The Sword Edge Domain Master snorted. There was a god emperor, no wonder. In the past, Tianyun had heard that there were no god emperors. But now, it seemed like there really were god emperors. Of course, there were no god emperors at the moment. Moreover, there could only be one god emperor in a world. The Medicine God Temple once had an emperor god. Their foundation was really strong. Perhaps they were not worried about the evil spirit race, but it was very likely that the next divine lord was about to be born. That's right. The Medicine Temple once had a god emperor. How could they not be arrogant? The cloud-piercing region master shook his head. It's impossible for the Medicine Temple to join us. Let the Divine Medicine Temple become the leader, and we will all become its subordinates or allies of the first level. Otherwise, we won't bother to talk to you. The Medicine God's Temple. Ordinary transactions are fine, but it's impossible to ask them to do anything. The disciples in there are very arrogant. I guess there will be a God Emperor soon. Domain Lord Baichi snorted. He was also very dissatisfied with the Medicine God Temple. The Medicine God Temple is too neutral. The evil spirit race doesn't even bother to care about the world outside. I guess that after the appearance of a god emperor, they will immediately sweep away everything. Therefore, they don't care what happens outside. Region Lord Cloud Veil interrupted. You're right. I went to the Divine Medicine Hall to trade some stuff. I'm afraid the Hall Master is about to become a god emperor. As for the other elders, they're all ancient era experts. It's good that the Medicine Divine Temple didn't participate in the god emperor battle. They didn't suffer any losses, and there are plenty of ancient immortals. The Fecta Domain Lord was very disdainful of the Medicine Divine Temple. The Fecta Domain had participated in the god emperor battle. Not to mention the heavy losses, even his parents had lost their lives. He was furious that the Medicine God Temple refused to participate. However, it was other people's business if they didn't participate. They couldn't blame anyone for this. But if the Medicine God Temple was attacked one day, they wouldn't care. The Domain Lords all complained. The reputation of the Medicine God Temple could be said to be extremely bad. But they still went to trade with the Medicine God Temple, which was enough to show that the foundation of the Medicine God Temple was really not bad. God Emperor, they are really confident. Tianyun shook his head and said, but come to think of it, the Medicine Temple has a lot of spirit herbs, eating them like vegetables. How can there not be a lot of experts? Hey, it's more or less the same. Eating spirit herbs as if they were vegetables. What an apt description. The Sword Edge Region Master chuckled. By the way, is the Medicine God's Temple still recruiting? I really want to take a look inside and see what's going on inside. Tianyun laughed. The Medicine God Temple is also mysterious. It has never recruited people. It has not recruited for a long time. I'm afraid it won't marry. So, don't even think about joining. Besides, what's so good about joining the Medicine God Temple? Basically, you can't go out. You are always locked in, without any freedom. The Fecta Domain Lord patted the fan in his hand and carefully thought about the situation of the Medicine God Temple. Tianyun really gave the Fecta Divine Fan to the Fecta Domain Lord. Only the Fecta Domain Lord could use it to its full strength. Always locked in and can't come out? Tianyun didn't know much about the Medicine God Temple. He had gone to learn a little about it before, but only a small part of it was recorded. Most of the details were not recorded. It could be said that it was quite mysterious. Only by chatting with the Domain Lords could he learn more about the situation. Yes, it's really annoying if it's not like this. This is the real neutrality. Completely ignoring the outside world has been active inside. It's really amazing. The Sword Edge Region Master shook his head. He couldn't understand this way of doing things. Forget about the Medicine God Temple. They won't join us anyway. We can talk to the other divine realms, but it seems that we can forget about it now. No one is willing to move. I don't know how many disciples of their divine realms have been captured by the evil spirit race, but they are still indifferent. Maybe there are too many spies in their divine realms, so they don't care about the alliance. The Cloud Penetration Region Master said casually. Then, the other Domain Lords looked at each other. Maybe it was true. They had found out that many of their disciples were being controlled. Who knew how many of their God's realm elders were being controlled as well? In that case, it's really possible. But according to this, maybe the Medicine God Temple is also under the control of the Sword Edge Region Master. The Fecta Domain Lord's words really scared a group of people to death. It's unlikely. The Medicine God Temple has always been a neutral existence, even before the appearance of the evil spirit race. The Fecta Domain Lord frowned. The Medicine God Temple was even more closed than the Fecta Divine Realm. No one in the Fecta Divine Realm was under the control of the Medicine God Temple. Then at least the other divine realms will be under the control of the evil spirit race. The other Domain Lords nodded. The divine realms that didn't choose to join had all been violated by the evil spirit race, but they still didn't choose to join. It was possible that the internal power of the evil spirit race was under the control of the evil spirit race. After all, the reason why so many Domain Lords were able to join was because they had been violated by the evil spirit race. It wasn't because the Sword Edge Region Master and the others were too powerful. Now, they were going to the headquarters of the evil spirit race together. It was because they hated the evil spirit race to the extreme. They could destroy a part of the evil spirit race and destroy the plan, so why not? It seems that if I go and persuade them one by one, maybe I can really persuade them to join. Lee Tianyun smiled slightly. It seemed that after this matter was over, he would be busy. It's really possible. It seems that I didn't think about it carefully before. Now that you mention it, if I let the Tianyun region master go and check it out, maybe they will really join. The Sword Edge region master patted his head. He didn't think too much before. Not necessarily. I think it has a lot to do with the Medicine God Temple. The Fecta Domain Lord shook his head, thinking that things were not that simple. No matter what the situation is, with our current situation, it is enough to deal with it. Lee Tianyun looked forward and said in a deep voice, "We are almost there, the important points of the evil spirit race. Of course, it is also provided to me by the Fecta Domain Lord." Chapter 17:11. They were about to reach the main headquarters of the evil spirit race. The Fecta Domain Lord had never been inside before. He thought it was just a small branch of the evil spirit race, but who knew that it was a headquarters with the greatest influence? Perhaps there were other branches of the evil spirit race that were even more heavily guarded than here, but it seemed that this place was very important. At least the Sky Creator clan was imprisoned here, and most of the elders were also here. It could be said that this place was very important. "We're almost there," Lee Tianyun suddenly said. The Domain Lords' hearts tightened. They all knew that the evil spirit race was very strong now. If they were not careful, they might die here. But Lee Tianyun had said that they didn't need to risk their lives this time. They just needed to keep delaying them. Compared to risking their lives, the chances of dying here would be greatly reduced if they kept wandering. Then, they all summoned their strongest treasures. None of them were stingy. If they were stingy, they would carry these treasures with them forever. But if they were stingy, they would sink into the soil or turn into dust and scatter here. Soon, they arrived at the evil spirit race's passageway. Like usual, this place was completely sealed. On the surface, there were no passageways or areas. This wasn't a big problem. They had already known this before coming. This is the passageway, but we can't use it. Only the evil spirit race themselves can use this passageway. Lee Tianyun pointed at the pitch-black soil on the ground. It looked like soil that had been dyed black. It didn't look like a teleportation formation. This is the passageway? It was the first time they had seen such a passageway. They didn't expect that the headquarters of the evil spirit race was here. That's right. Now, I'll forcefully open the passageway with the Fecta Domain Lord. When the time comes, we'll directly blast in and kill the guards of the evil spirit race inside. We'll also disturb them inside. When it's about time, we'll immediately lure them out. Lee Tianyun told them the plan. The Domain Lords nodded, indicating that they understood. Then Lee Tianyun and the Fecta Domain Lord nodded at each other and immediately began to forcefully open the passageway. Under normal circumstances, it was indeed difficult to open, but the two of them were extremely powerful divine carver masters. It wasn't a big problem to forcefully open this place for a short while. After that, the two of them stood to one side and started to destroy the seal of the teleportation channel. Both Lee Tianyun and the Fecta Domain Master had studied it before, so they knew how to operate it. If it were any other divine inscriber, they really wouldn't know where to start. When it was broken, the teleportation array immediately emitted a pitch-black energy. Following that, the passageway opened up bit by bit. At the same time, the evil spirit guards inside realized that something was wrong with the teleportation array. After a brief investigation, he immediately discovered that there were intruders outside, and it was a large group of intruders. Its invaders, a large group of experts. The evil spirit guards cried out in alarm. They never thought that there would still be cultivators who would dare to attack them so boldly. Were they not afraid of the wrath of the evil spirit race? They immediately crushed the emergency token to inform the elders to come and rescue them. After the evil spirit elders received the news, they all felt very puzzled. He had never encountered such a situation before. This was the first time he had encountered such a situation. Strange, there's an intruder. Who would be so daring? Let's go out and take a look. Let's see who's so blind as to capture them and swallow them. One by one, the elders quickly flew out to see who was so blind. When the evil emperor, who was setting up various formations, sensed the news, he frowned and looked outside. What's going on? Who's invading? Forget it, let them deal with it. We can't stop setting up the formation now. Otherwise, it'll be a waste. The evil emperor did not stop and continued to set up the formation. This formation was the control teleportation formation. He was waiting for the purple evil spirit to bring the heaven creator race over after successfully controlling them. Then he would have to modify them. A simple control naturally could not last long. He had to use the support of the formation to truly stabilize it. Otherwise, it would also be broken free. Once he stopped setting up the formation, it would lose its effect later on. He could only let the intruders do as they pleased and let the other evil spirit race deal with them. At the entrance, Tianyun and the rest had already quickly opened up a hole and forcefully opened it. After opening it slightly, it was just enough for one person to enter. They immediately shouted, "You can go in now. Go in with your most explosive power first." "Then let me go first." The Sword Edge Region Lord's eyes were filled with fighting spirit. He held a sharp sword in his hand and could not wait any longer. Immediately after, he did not hesitate and rushed in. However, before he rushed in, a healing power supported his body and maintained the continuous healing effect. The Sword Edge Region Lord looked at Tianyun with gratitude and continued to rush in. Tianyun not only supported the Sword Edge Region Lord but also the other Region Lords. The other Region Lords had not experienced it before. They were all shocked by the strong increase in healing power. There was such a special power? They all looked at Tianyun with gratitude and rushed in one by one. They could not afford to have any gaps. If the Sword Edge Region Lord was alone in there, it would be dangerous. Level up, it's up to you guys. Tianyun's eyes flashed. This time, he would definitely have enough experience to break through to the Heavenly God level. They thought that Tianyun was just a support. They did not know that he was doing this for experience. Of course, at the same time, their injuries would not be as severe, which was beneficial to all of them. This was killing two birds with one stone. Very quickly, the experience bar kept jumping up, which meant that the Sword Edge Region Master was already in the middle of a massacre. Wherever he went, blood splattered everywhere. He and the Fecta Region Lord had been expanding the passageway so that they could escape faster and not be trapped inside. If the two of us attack together, even the heretical emperor won't have an easy time. The Fecta Region Lord harumphed coldly. He was extremely displeased with the heretical emperor and hoped that they could give him a good beating this time. Tianyun nodded. At the same time, he controlled the purple evil spirit puppet to converse with Heavenly Goddess Yuji and the others. "I've already brought people over. Let's create a conflict outside. Let's get ready to modify and escape when the time comes." Tianyun suddenly said. Heavenly Goddess Yuji and the others' eyes lit up. It was finally time for them to move. Their eyes were filled with battle intent. They would rather die than be captured again. There's no need to be so desperate. I can't say for sure this time, but there's still a good chance that we can get you out of here. Tianyun consoled them. Chapter 17:12. Tianyun did not say much about how Heavenly Goddess Yuji and the others were feeling. He only told them to prepare themselves. He naturally did not want any accidents to happen. As long as he could escape from this area, he would be able to escape successfully. With the teleportation divine stone in hand, he was not afraid of escaping at all. As long as he was not sealed, escaping was not a problem. At the same time, the Sword Edge Region Lord and the others were already slaughtering the evil spirit race beings inside. Especially when a group of Region Lords charged out, the evil spirit race beings were scared out of their wits. They did not know why these Region Lords were attacking so crazily. Did the evil spirit race skin their parents alive? Otherwise, why would they be so crazy? More than a dozen Region Lords charged over, and they even saw the heaven-creating race. Dozens of heavenly gods charged over and killed most of the guards and the evil spirit race beings outside. They did not even have time to react before a bunch of attacks came over. They were not afraid of killing the wrong people at all. To these region lords, as long as they were standing nearby and still alive, they would be their targets. No matter how strong or weak they were, as long as they were within their target range, they would be killed without exception. All of you die. Region Lord Baichi and the others were bloodshot. They had been harmed by the evil spirit race all this time, and now it was their turn to fight back. How could they not go crazy when they saw the evil spirit race beings here? Previously, they could only find a few evil spirit race beings at most, and they did not even know where their headquarters was. As for Fan Yu and the evil spirit race beings from the outer divine realms, they naturally could not go down and eliminate them. Moreover, their cultivation levels were too low, and killing them would not be able to harm their foundations, so it was meaningless. It was different now. There were so many evil spirit race beings with decent cultivation levels. Killing a group of them would be harming the roots of the evil spirit race. The treasures of dozens of heavenly gods were smashed outside. It was a very spectacular scene. Yi Tianyun, who was outside, was grinning from ear to ear. His experience points were exploding, and he kept using experience cards in order to quickly level up. He could not wait to break through to the God the Arch level in one go. That would be awesome. However, that was impossible. The experience required was too much, and it could not be easily achieved. He only hoped that he could quickly break through to become a heavenly god, and then step into the level of an intermediate heavenly god. At that time, the power that he would erupt with would probably be enough to put up a fight against the evil emperor. After all, his crazy damage mode was no joke. Once it was unleashed, it would truly be able to slay gods and Buddhas. Damn it! There are so many Empyrean gods. Hurry up and ask Evil Emperor for reinforcements. That's right. We can only mobilize the demonic god army. Otherwise, we won't be able to resist them. Why isn't the Evil Emperor here yet? This place is about to be flattened. The elders of the evil spirit race were forced to retreat. How would they dare to approach this group of lunatics? The demonic god's army had yet to move. The main reason was that the demonic god's army only listened to the evil emperor's orders. As long as the evil emperor didn't give any orders, the demonic god's army wouldn't move even if their territory was flattened. The evil spirit race was just that strict. The orders of their superiors were absolute and could not be disobeyed. If they disobeyed, they would be completely eliminated. Domain Lord Baichi and the others could be said to have gone completely crazy. They madly attacked all the way, not caring about their consumption at all. This was Yi Tianyun's plan. He told the domain lords not to hold back at all. They only needed to bombard them indiscriminately, and they didn't need to care about anything else. As for escaping, leave it to him. Although they didn't know how Yi Tianyun had escaped, since it was the alliance leader's order, they would obey it. Of course, they would still hold back. At the very least, they would save some strength to escape. They had to listen to Yi Tianyun's orders, but they still had to be safe and make more preparations. After the evil spirit race crushed the emergency token, the evil emperor's side could be said to have jumped up from the explosion. A bunch of urgent information was transmitted over, causing the token in his arms to tremble crazily. Because it was too intense, even a few cracks appeared. What's going on? You can't even handle this? What a bunch of good-for-nothings. The evil emperor looked at the large formation that had been set up in front of him. He could only clench his teeth and give up. He turned around and flew out. At the same time, he shouted, "Inform all the evil god armies to prepare to move out and destroy this group of invaders." As he turned to leave, the formation that had been set up suddenly caught fire and turned into ruins. God knew how many resources had been wasted, but they had been wasted just like that. Otherwise, the evil emperor wouldn't have been so reluctant to leave. Not only was it a waste of time, but it was also a waste of a large number of resources. It was really not worth it. After the evil emperor came out, a large group of evil god armies came out. There were actually 3 teams of evil god armies, which meant that they could transform into 3 evil spirits. If they worked together with the evil emperor, it would be really a heaven-defying level. So it's these fellows and the escaping Sky Creator clan. Good. Since you're all here, don't leave. The veins on the evil emperor's forehead bulged. When the evil god armies had just appeared, he immediately transformed one of the teams of evil god armies into evil spirits. He became the main controller of the central area. It turned into an even larger evil god and charged over. The darkness that was filled with murderous aura was like the arrival of the real evil spirits, and they pounced over. The evil emperor hadn't even reached them, but the Sword Edge Region Master and the others could already feel a terrifying pressure from afar. This was the evil emperor's trump card. Together with the evil god armies, they were really no match for him, especially since they had never worked together before. Even though they were all very strong, they couldn't gather their strength together to form a joint formation. Thus, they could only fight one-on-one or join forces to attack together. That was all. But to the evil emperor, they were on a completely different level. The evil emperor is here. Let's go. The Sword Edge Region Master and the others didn't waste any time. They all turned and fled towards the tunnel, without any hesitation. This was Yi Tianyun's plan. When he saw the evil emperor, he turned and fled without another word. He didn't care about anything else. You still want to leave? The evil emperor stretched out his hand and squeezed. The tunnel in front of him started to close up. He wanted to stop the Sword Edge Region Master and the others. Then, the divine seals around the tunnel shone with black light. As they shrank, the tunnel started to close up. But the speed was very slow. It was obvious that it was stuck and couldn't close up quickly. These fellows came prepared. They can actually suppress my formation. The evil emperor's gaze turned cold. He immediately sped up. When the evil emperor caught up, the Sword Edge Region Master and the others had already fled. The evil emperor could only dive into the tunnel and chase after them. Right when evil emperor charged out of the tunnel and was prepared to fight against Sword Edge Region Master and the others, he immediately sensed that there was no response from the prison. This gave him a bad premonition. Just like now, when the portal was forcefully opened, he felt it. Alas, he was busy setting up the formation and couldn't divert his attention to control it. He could only sense the abnormalities on this side. Who knew that they couldn't stop it at all, so they could only give up on setting up the formation and come out. Now, it was the other side that was in trouble again. This made his heart sink. Could it be that the other side was also infiltrated? But that's not right. I didn't sense anyone sneaking in at all. Evil Emperor was the god of this place. He had absolute control, and he also had absolute senses. Just as he was feeling puzzled, a figure attracted his attention. It was Yi Tianyun. Not only Yi Tianyun, but also the Fekta Region Master and the others on the blacklist. This made him immediately furious. I was wondering who was so daring. So it's you guys. Do you really think that you can come to my side as you please? Evil Emperor was furious. He no longer cared about the situation. Even if there was something strange, this was the only exit. As long as he guarded this place, even if the heaven creators inside could leave the prison, they wouldn't be able to escape. Evil Emperor is out. Yi Tianyun and Fekta Region Master exchanged a look. Then, they signaled Sword Edge Region Master and the others to continue fighting. However, when they saw the 3 troops of the evil god army, they felt the pressure increase. Once again, Yi Tianyun realized that the evil emperor really did have a lot of subordinates. Just how many powerful beings were hidden? Fekta Region Master, go and reinforce them. I will continue to open up the passageway here. Leave it to me. Yi Tianyun had no intention of participating in the battle. Instead, he continued to open up the passageway here. He was worried that once the passageway closed, Heavenly Goddess Yu Ji and the others wouldn't be able to escape. No problem. I'll leave this to you. Fekta Region Master nodded. He immediately summoned all types of heavenly god spirit treasures and placed them in piles around the passageway. The evil emperor was enraged, and so was the Fekta Region Master. His parents had both died during the God Emperor battle. He wanted nothing more than to exterminate the entire evil spirit tribe. Now that he had seen the evil emperor, his rage was completely ignited. He wanted to fight the evil emperor to the death. Not only the Fekta region master, but all of the powerful beings of the Heaven Creator's tribe also unleashed their special abilities. All of them wielded the power of laws, and various elemental powers revolved around them. The powers that the Heaven Creators wielded were very simple and violent. They were all extreme elemental powers. For example, the power of laws of fire was the most powerful flame in this world. Not only did they wield the power of laws of fire, but they also wielded the power of other laws. Every Heaven Creator had a different elemental power, and when combined, their powers reached an extremely powerful level. The only thing Tianyun could do now was to constantly release healing power on the side and buff them with healing power. After all, he had to open up the passageway. There was nothing else he could do apart from enhancing his healing powers. Hurry up, hurry up! Tianyun looked at the realm leaders who were constantly defending against the evil emperor's attacks, and he was screaming in his heart for the purple evil spirit puppet to come up as soon as possible. The longer this dragged on, the more disadvantageous it would be for them. The evil emperor had already forced them into retreat. This was enough to show just how powerful the evil emperor was. A single evil emperor was able to suppress a dozen or so realm leaders. After leaving the passageway, the purple evil spirit puppet quickly flew upward. After passing through the passageway, it easily emerged from within. Greetings, Lord Z. When the guards saw Tianyun emerge, they did not stop him. They thought that the evil emperor had asked him to leave. Tianyun nodded and left hurriedly. He did not pay much attention to them. After leaving the tower, he immediately flew toward the passageway. He hoped that he could escape from here as quickly as possible. However, before he could fly too far, he heard a shout. Wait a minute. Chapter 17:14. Tianyun didn't expect the demonic god army to show up. It seemed like they were going to reinforce the evil god army, but now they appeared here and stopped him. What's the matter? Tianyun said proudly. The purple evil spirit was of a higher rank than the demonic god army, so he didn't need to be humble. The exalted vile emperor has ordered us to stand guard here, and to intercept anyone who comes out of there. Weren't you supposed to stay down there? Why did you come up? The leader of the demonic god army flew over with a stern expression. He didn't care about the purple evil spirit's status at all. Tianyun's heart sank. It seemed that the evil emperor had given the order to the evil god army to surround the place, and if there was any movement, they would immediately attack. If they weren't on their side, the demonic god army would have pounced on them and attacked them. The evil emperor has ordered me to do something. Is there a problem? Tianyun remained calm and didn't panic. No matter who it is, no one is allowed to leave this place. Please go back now. Otherwise, don't blame us for being rude. The demonic god army revealed a fierce murderous intent. It seemed like they only listened to the evil emperor's orders. The rest of the people, including the elders, had to get lost. I have something to report to the evil emperor. Something happened down there. You guys should go in and take a look. Tianyun didn't pay attention to him. He turned around and flew towards the exit. He wanted to leave while the evil god army was still far away from him. Don't blame us for being rude if you leave again. The demonic god army shouted at Tianyun. They were still as inflexible as before and ignored Tianyun's words. If the evil emperor ordered them to stay up there, they wouldn't go down even if the ground was flattened. The demonic god army was inflexible. They didn't care about any changes and didn't know how to adapt. They only knew how to obey orders. What a bunch of inflexible fools. Tianyun sent a voice transmission to Heavenly Goddess Yuji and the others, telling them to get ready for battle. The demonic god army was about to attack. Heavenly Goddess Yuji got ready for battle after hearing that, but most of them planned to run away. Fighting in someone else's territory, even if he won this round, he would have to face even more experts later on. There was no point in continuing to fight. Immediately, Tianyun increased his speed to the maximum and flew toward the passage, getting faster and faster. Don't go! The leader of the demonic god army caught up quickly. The rest of the demonic god army didn't follow. Only one demonic god army caught up. The evil god army alone was enough to stop Tianyun. After all, the evil god army was at the heavenly god level, so it was impossible that they couldn't catch a divine monarch purple evil spirit. With so many domain lords here, even if a domain lord couldn't deal with the evil emperor alone, they could still break through some of his attacks. The evil emperor's eyes were cold. If I let you succeed again, I'll lose all face. He waved his hand and a huge black crystal appeared in the void. Everyone's expression changed. This was an awakening crystal. The evil emperor was already heaven-defying. If he awakened, what would happen? Tianyun's heart sank. It seemed like the evil emperor was serious. Previously, he was just playing around. Now, he was really going to unleash his power, and it was going to be a very strong one. Then the evil emperor fiercely swallowed the awakening crystal. Instantly, a wave of power exploded out of his body, and his huge body began to rapidly weaken. Not only that, the evil god army scattered and gathered in his direction. One by one, they entered the evil emperor's body. Their bodies became smaller and smaller, and their power became more and more condensed. A force that had been compressed to the extreme constantly struck the surrounding void, causing it to distort. Chapter 17:15. After swallowing the awakening crystal, the evil god army was sucked into the evil god army crazily. It was not actually devouring, it was a kind of fusion. They really did not know how to fuse the evil god army directly into their bodies. More importantly, the more they gathered, the more terrifying their power became. The surrounding energy waves started to distort the space. They could clearly feel an extremely terrifying aura. Tianyun's appraisal eye was jumping crazily and the numbers kept rising. The numbers were jumping at a terrifying speed, much more powerful than before, and the numbers were still jumping. Such a fusion technique, if he completely awakens it, he will probably be extremely close to becoming a god emperor, right? Tianyun could feel that the evil emperor's aura was so strong that it could kill everything in its path. If the evil emperor continued to attack them, they would all be killed. The evil god army was already very terrifying, and now he was absorbing so many evil god army into his body to strengthen himself. Every evil god army's cultivation was no weaker than a heavenly god. 3 teams of evil god army stacked together, which meant that there were 30 heavenly gods smashing into his body in one go. It was already very terrifying when he fused with the first team. Now that he was fusing with the third team, what kind of concept would that be? The concept was that he would be able to kill them instantly, crushing everything. This is bad. The Fecta domain lord floated over with a solemn expression. They could not be like the evil god army, who could fuse the power of the same race to greatly increase his own power. Even if they joined forces, they could not reach such heights. Especially when they became extremely powerful individually, they would have extremely terrifying power and speed. Their attacks would not even land on the evil god army, and they would be killed instantly. Lord Evil God Army, Lord Evil God Army, Lord Evil God Army. The evil god army started to shout loudly. They had been suppressed previously, and now they could finally fight back. The power that the evil god army had awakened could definitely suppress these invaders. The Sky Creator's expressions were also very ugly, as if they had seen the past. It's this kind of technique again. After the evil god army awakened, his power has greatly increased. I'm afraid we can't withstand it. Although the Sky Creators were very powerful, they were ultimately independent and did not have the ability to join forces to attack. No matter how powerful one person was, how could he withstand the combined power of a group of people? The Sky Creators were not invincible and omnipotent, but they were indeed very strong individually. However, facing the evil spirit race who could crazily fuse their powers, it would be difficult to resist. It had to be said that the reason the evil spirit race was able to overthrow so many powerful forces was because of this move. This was truly a combination of the strong. When all of them gathered together, the power that erupted from them would definitely be earth-shattering. Correspondingly, this kind of move would definitely have extremely strong side effects. However, in a short period of time, it was enough to kill everything in an instant. A little side effect was meaningless. Just a little bit more and they'll come out. Yi Tianyun's face was very serious. He knew that this time, he wouldn't be able to leave easily. When the Vile Emperor was angry, the power he would unleash would definitely be terrifying. Heavenly Goddess Yu Ji and the others were already fleeing toward them. However, the demonic deity army was still catching up to them, so their speed was obviously going to slow down. That was why he couldn't escape so quickly, but from the looks of it he wasn't far from the passage. Phew. It's been a long time since I've felt this way. The Vile Emperor's voice came from ahead. The Vile Emperor's size was now no different from a normal person's. Sometimes, the bigger one was, the more terrifying one was. When an enormous amount of energy was compressed into a single point, the situation was completely different. The current Vile Emperor was extremely different. His body wasn't small, and he was roughly over 2 meters tall. There were no explosive muscles on his body, and he looked like a very normal body. However, the space around him was twisted, and there was a power that struck them with a sense of threat. This was extremely terrifying. Can any of us unleash a similar technique? Yi Tianyun turned to the Fecta Domain Lord with an inquisitive expression. I don't think so. We do have a combination formation, but none of us are able to completely fuse them together. The Fecta Domain Lord had already gathered all of his power, and he was already prepared for battle. This kind of technique was indeed very powerful. It was practically against the rules. Perhaps they could combine forces to attack, but if their formation was disrupted, or if a few of them didn't cooperate well, then the combination formation could easily collapse. Yi Tianyun had encountered this many times before, and he had broken many of them. If he ruthlessly defeated one of them, the formation would either collapse, or its power would be greatly reduced. The Vile Emperor's was an exception. He had completely gathered together and formed a single entity. When he unleashed his power, he could kill even gods. After completely fusing with them, the Vile Emperor waved his hand, and the passageway rapidly closed up. It was much faster than before. What power? Yi Tianyun's eyes focused, and he quickly formed a hand seal to continue suppressing the Vile Emperor's power. He didn't want the passageway to close up. If it was completely closed, then it would be troublesome to open it again. Let me help you. The Fecta Domain Lord immediately came over to help. He opened up the passageway, and only then did the Vile Emperor barely slow down. However, he only slowed down and not stopped. They didn't expect that after the Vile Emperor fused with them, even this kind of control would be greatly strengthened, and they found it difficult to suppress him. Oh, the power is not bad, but it ends here. The Vile Emperor's eyes focused, and his gaze was like a solid line that pierced through their hearts. Yi Tianyun felt his heart tremble. He had a feeling that he was being watched, or rather, it was a feeling of death coming from the front. The next moment, the Vile Emperor charged towards Yi Tianyun. With a dong, the void was directly shattered, and he rushed over in the blink of an eye. The defense formed by the Jianfeng Domain Lord and the others along the way seemed to be non-existent. Under the impact, even if they reacted, it was already too late. The group of Domain Lords was directly sent flying by the Vile Emperor's power, and all of them immediately suffered different kinds of injuries. This wasn't even a frontal attack, just the force of the impact alone was enough to send them flying. In less than a few breaths, the Vile Emperor had already killed his way to Onion, and with a wave of his hand, he pierced through. He didn't use any weapons, and very simply used his hand as a sharp sword, and pierced through. Yi Tianyun's pupils shrank, and he instinctively wanted to dodge, but his body didn't move much, and the palm had already pierced through his body. The terrifying devouring power quickly spread around his body, and in the blink of an eye, his body withered, as if it was being sucked dry. Chapter 1716. Although Yi Tianyun had expected it, he didn't expect it to be so powerful. The speed and the explosive power were on a completely different level from before. It felt like the evil emperor was using crazy damage mode. His original terrifying power was amplified by dozens of times. The power was so powerful that he was killed instantly. His chest was penetrated by the palm, and the terrifying devouring power spread out. His body began to wither and turn into ashes at a speed visible to the naked eye. Lee Tianyun could feel the life force in his body being devoured, and it was very fast. Even if someone came to his rescue immediately, it was too late. Most of his body disappeared instantly, and only his small head was left. Die, ant! The evil emperor waved his hand, and Lee Tianyun's body turned into a pile of ashes, which dissipated in all directions. This was the evil emperor's true strength. He could kill everything in an instant. Tianyun territorial master. They were shocked. They didn't expect their alliance master to be killed in an instant. Everything happened in an instant. Such a terrifying speed made their hearts tremble. If they were in his place, even if they could react in time to block it, they would still be seriously injured. It was as if a god emperor had descended. Even if he hadn't reached the level of a god emperor, he was infinitely close to it. He was so terrifying that they knew what the evil emperor was like. It's your turn now. Since you've all come, you'll die here. The evil emperor's pitch-black eyes looked toward the Fekta territorial master. His next target was undoubtedly the Fekta territorial master. The Fekta territorial master was a big trouble. If he didn't kill the Fekta territorial master, he wouldn't be able to calm his anger. Especially now that he was suppressing the passage, he wanted to kill him even more. The Fekta territorial master's heart trembled, and he felt extremely sad. He didn't expect Lee Tianyun to die like this, which made him sad and angry. If they hadn't come, Lee Tianyun wouldn't have died. He thought highly of Lee Tianyun, and he would definitely become a peerless expert in the future. But he still died, and he died right in front of his eyes. Just when everyone else thought that Lee Tianyun was dead, the space beside them suddenly trembled and a ball of fire appeared. A figure was instantly reborn from the fire. In the blink of an eye, Lee Tianyun came back to life. Everything seemed to be in perfect condition. Naturally, he was dead. However, he automatically used rising from the ashes and came back to life. However, the feeling of death did not dissipate. This power was too terrifying. This was the first time he had come into contact with evil emperor's power at such a close distance. What terrifying strength! He was almost killed in an instant. Tianyun had thought that once he broke through to the late upper celestial realm, he would have the power to resist. Now, it seemed that he had the power to resist. But against someone like the heretical emperor, he would be killed instantly. Resurrected. They were shocked when they saw it. They didn't expect Lee Tianyun to come back to life. Or was it just an afterimage that was killed? Or is it something else? This was the first time they had seen such a resurrection. The evil emperor was also surprised. He clearly felt that he had killed Lee Tianyun, and it was definitely not a puppet or an illusion. He was sure that he had touched Lee Tianyun, but he was sure that Lee Tianyun was not a puppet or an illusion. But now, a living person had appeared in front of him. It was definitely not a fake, but a real person. Impossible! Evil emperor immediately attacked Lee Tianyun again. Once again, he erupted with powerful strength. In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of Lee Tianyun. This time, Lee Tianyun was prepared. He used all his moves. Dragon and Phoenix divine veins, crazy damage mode, and so on. 5 dragons roar. 3 Empyrean spirit treasures released their strongest effects, turning into beams of light that pierced through. But against evil emperor's attack, it was like an ant trying to shake a tree. It was clearly overestimating itself. Instantly, the attack was scattered. The sharp palm once again pierced through his body. Die! Evil emperor roared and quickly slashed his palm. Lee Tianyun once again turned into dust and dissipated in the air. In just a few breaths, Lee Tianyun had just resurrected, but he was killed again. Lee Tianyun was too close to the evil emperor, so it was too late for the other domain lords to help Lee Tianyun. Let's see if you can survive this. Evil emperor looked around sharply and sensed the energy around him to see if he could still sense Lee Tianyun's existence. After a while, another figure quickly condensed on the side. There is no doubt that it is Lee Tianyun's body. He resurrected again. Damn it, I wasted 15 lives. Han felt a pain in his heart. He resurrected, but Rebirth of Flames is still in cooldown. But he directly deducted 15 lives, which is a few billion crazy points. Of course, it's not a lot when converted into compressed crazy points. But even if it's not a lot, it's still a lot of crazy points. In the blink of an eye, he lost so much crazy points. Fortunately, it's a resurrection. If he died, he would really lose everything. He resurrected again? Sword Edge Domain Lord and the others were stunned. They all suspected that Tianyun was killed by a puppet. How can he resurrect again and again? They have never seen it before. Impossible. Could it be that all those I killed were your substitutes? The evil emperor felt that this was inconceivable. He had never seen this kind of situation before. Yes, do you think I will die? You just killed my substitutes. I am immortal. Chapter 1717. Although Tianyun can still use a lot of life to resurrect, he can't keep wasting it, right? If he continues to waste it like this, once he runs out of crazy points to buy life, then he will really die. Therefore, he is not immortal, but when he has a bit of money, he can become immortal. When the evil emperor chased after him again, he immediately chose to use teleportation to escape. If he could escape once, he would be lucky. Otherwise, if he was killed again and again, he would definitely die. I would like to see how many substitutes you have. The evil emperor was furious. Even if he has substitutes, he can't always have substitutes, right? No matter how powerful a move is, it will eventually run out of energy. Immediately, the evil emperor instantly appeared in front of Tianyun and waved his palm. This terrifying speed really closed the distance in an instant, and in the blink of an eye, he will be in front of Tianyun. When the evil emperor arrived, Tianyun immediately used instant transmission to disappear in place and escape to another area. But the moment he appeared, the evil emperor charged at him again, his palm piercing through him. Tianyun couldn't dodge this time. He was once again pierced by the evil emperor. He died. Once again, he was killed by the evil emperor. Even instant transmission is useless. Although he can teleport to a very far area, for the evil emperor, this distance is just a matter of an instant. He can easily kill Tianyun in a blink of an eye. This is the power of cultivation. When the evil emperor's cultivation is at its peak, the distance is just a matter of an instant. When the evil emperor sensed the void energy fluctuation, he knew that Tianyun was ready to appear. When he appeared, the evil emperor was already in front of him and finished killing him. Instant transmission is so useless in the face of such a terrifying cultivation. Unless he hides in a protective formation or something, he will be immediately sensed. Die! The evil emperor waved his hand, and Tianyun's body was turned into ashes. He died again. But it didn't take long for Tianyun's body to condense again. The terrifying resurrection ability shocked everyone. Even if the evil emperor is very strong, he still has a headache in the face of this ability. Evil emperor's moves might seem very powerful, but no matter how powerful they were, there was a limit to them. It couldn't last for a very long time, but it was enough to crush Tianyun many times. It's too scary. Is this the power of an emperor god? I'm being completely crushed. This was the first time Tianyun felt so powerless. He couldn't fight back at all, and was just getting killed. Resurrection? I want to see how many more times you can live. Evil Emperor's eyes were filled with killing intent. Right now, he had no other target but Tianyun. He wanted to kill him as many times as he could. He didn't believe that he couldn't kill Tianyun. The next moment, when Evil Emperor wanted to kill Tianyun again, a sword light slashed over and forced Evil Emperor back. At this moment, the Sword Edge Region Master appeared in front of Tianyun. Terrifying sword chi revolved around his body. He seemed to have unleashed some sort of power that had reached a terrifying realm. Do you think we don't exist? If you want to kill the Heavenly Cloud Region Master, you have to ask me first. Ask me first. The other Region Masters also unleashed their power, either by burning their bloodlines or using their strongest treasures. They might not be able to fight Evil Emperor alone, but if they joined forces, they would be able to defeat Evil Emperor easily. One after another, the region masters intercepted them. They had to prepare themselves, but the time they took to prepare was enough for Yi Tianyun to die several times. Evil Emperor's speed was too fast. Even if they prepared themselves, they couldn't protect Yi Tianyun immediately. A bunch of ants. Do you think you can stop me with your power? Evil Emperor was furious. Then I will start with you. Anyone who stands in my way will die. The evil emperor didn't set Yi Tianyun as his target. He directly rushed towards Yi Tianyun and killed whoever tried to stop him. The Sword Edge Region Master and the others didn't hesitate to unleash their strongest moves. A bunch of gorgeous attacks turned into countless light beams that shot toward Evil Emperor. Although it wasn't a fusion attack, each of them contained terrifying power, and they covered a large area, making it impossible for Evil Emperor to escape. With so many region masters attacking together, even if it wasn't a fusion attack, the explosive power was still terrifying. Open! Evil Emperor rushed in, and in the blink of an eye, he was enveloped by the terrifying attacks. When everyone saw this, they were delighted. It seemed that Evil Emperor was a fool. With so many region masters attacking together, did he think that he was invincible and could easily block these attacks? Soon after, a sharp ray of light broke through the pillars of light and charged over. When everyone looked carefully, they realized that it was Evil Emperor who broke through their attacks and rushed toward them. The black energy around Evil Emperor could not only block the attacks, but it could also devour them. If this continued, their attacks would be useless. Not to mention injuring Evil Emperor, it would be good if they could even break his skin. In fact, let alone break his skin, they couldn't even break his thick defense. Terrifying power was displayed once again. An awakened Evil Emperor was really terrifying. Die all of you! Evil Emperor's palm turned into a blade, and he slashed down. The black light turned into sword light, splitting the incoming attack in half and slashing toward the Sword Edge Region Masters. In the blink of an eye, it arrived in front of them, and they could only block it. The two waves of energy clashed, and with a loud explosion, many of the region masters were sent flying and injured. Although they were lightly injured, the attack of so many region masters not only didn't defeat Evil Emperor, but they were also sent flying by Evil Emperor's palm. Including Yi Tianyun, he was sent flying by the energy explosion, and he felt dizzy. This Evil Emperor was too domineering, so domineering that it made people's hair stand on end. His terrifying power made so many region masters unable to block it, and they still rushed over in one breath. Isn't this power too terrifying? Their hearts trembled. So many region masters attacked consecutively, but they couldn't even scratch the surface. That terrifying power made them feel despair. Why didn't such a powerful Evil Emperor attack? At most, he only sent a few evil spirit race people to cause trouble in the surroundings, but he didn't directly kill or trample the other divine domains. Yi Tianyun also felt the pressure increase. If this continued, they would all collapse. Some region masters would definitely be killed, and he wouldn't be able to save them. The lives bought from the shop could be saved, but only their bodies were in good condition. If they were turned into ashes, it would be difficult to recover. Looks like I can only use that ultimate move. Yi Tianyun's gaze turned cold. There was only one way to stall for time, and that was to break through. Chapter 17-18. He had used his breakthrough heavenly tribulation to inflict damage to his surroundings several times. The problem was that it was very dangerous. The more people there were, the more powerful it would be. As such, it was a vicious technique that dealt a heavy blow to the enemy. He didn't dare to use it unless he had no other choice. These techniques were too vicious, and he would die if he wasn't careful. He had already accumulated enough experience to break through to the heavenly god realm. The amount of experience he had gained from killing so many area lords was terrifying. As such, he had finally accumulated enough experience to break through to the heavenly god realm. He didn't want to use it at first, but he had no choice now. According to his senses, Heavenly Goddess Yu Ji and the others were still quite a distance away. Even if they managed to escape, there was still the heretical emperor above them. If they didn't suppress him, they really wouldn't be able to escape. Furthermore, judging from the current situation, Heavenly Goddess Yuji and the others were probably going to lose half of their forces. He absolutely couldn't allow that to happen. He was the alliance leader, and he had to be responsible for his allies. If he lost more than half of the area lords, it would be a mistake on his part as the alliance leader. It had to be said that he really had miscalculated. He didn't think that the heretical emperor would be so powerful. After all, based on what had happened in the past, he should have been able to deal with so many area lords. Who would have thought that after awakening, he would be able to fuse with such powerful energy? Breakthrough. Ding. Experience deducted, beginning breakthrough to Heavenly God, progress at 1%. In the next second, all types of tribulation cloud began to appear in the air, engulfing Tianyun and the others. Everyone was given a fright and turned to look at him. The alliance leader broke through to the Heavenly God realms so quickly? This isn't a matter of speed, right? Does he want to die by choosing to break through here? No, he wants to save us and stop the heretical emperor. That's why he's doing this. But if he does this, the difficulty of his heavenly tribulation will increase. The other area lords immediately guessed Tianyun's intentions. No one wanted to break through here. He was clearly trying to disrupt the heretical emperor so that they would be fine. However, Tianyun's heavenly tribulation would be much more difficult than an ordinary heavenly god's heavenly tribulation. However, the power of his heavenly tribulation was no ordinary heavenly tribulation, but the most powerful heavenly tribulation. Boom! The terrifying tribulation cloud began to surge in all directions, layer after layer. It was extremely compatible with the foundation of the Earth Monarch 10 refinements, and 10 layers were superimposed. The foundation of the 10 refinements Earth Monarch would continue to affect the future breakthroughs in cultivation. As a result, it became more and more terrifying. Layer upon layer of tribulation lightning stacked on top of each other, and tribulation lightning of all colors shot out in all directions like crazy. At the same time, Tianyun rushed towards Evil Emperor. He wasn't afraid of him at all. Just as Tianyun was about to get close to the Evil Emperor, the tribulation lightning struck down and sent the Evil Emperor flying. The insufferably arrogant Vile Emperor had been sent flying just like that. Although he wasn't injured, the fact that such a heaven-defying Vile Emperor had been sent flying was quite shocking. A heavenly tribulation is a heavenly tribulation. Everyone is an ant under a heavenly tribulation. Tianyun's eyes narrowed. As expected, no matter how hard he tried to break through, he still couldn't break through the suppression of the heavenly tribulation. It seemed that if he did not break through to the higher God Emperor realm, he would still be suppressed by the heavenly tribulation, unable to resist. Damn it, he's actually breaking through here. After the Evil Emperor was sent flying, his face became covered in dirt. His situation wasn't too bad, which was enough to show how thick his skin was. The problem was that he didn't have any, but he couldn't continue attacking. Before he could even reach Tianyun, he would have been sent flying by the heavenly tribulation. Does it feel good? Let's do it a few more times. Tianyun laughed loudly and continued to chase after the Evil Emperor. Originally, the Evil Emperor was chasing after Tianyun, but now it was his turn to chase after the Evil Emperor. When Tianyun got close, the heavenly tribulation immediately descended and fiercely struck towards the Evil Emperor. It wasn't just the Evil Emperor, the other evil spirit race were also affected. The heavenly tribulation smashed down, and if they didn't die, they would be injured. The heavenly tribulation was just that terrifying, especially the heavenly tribulation that broke through to the heavenly God level. When someone got close, it would strike down, no matter who it was. However, correspondingly, the power of the heavenly tribulation that Tianyun endured would become stronger and stronger. This was the reason why the heavenly tribulation determined that someone was helping Tianyun transcend the tribulation, which was why the heavenly tribulation would become stronger and stronger. As long as one got close to the heavenly tribulation, they would be judged as helping to transcend the tribulation. Naturally, the difficulty would increase. This meant that if someone wanted to kill the person who was transcending the tribulation, they would be able to increase the power by just getting a little closer. This was a taboo for most people who were transcending tribulation. The power of the heavenly tribulation was already terrifying enough. If it increased, wouldn't that be fatal? Of course, Tianyun wasn't afraid of these heavenly tribulations. He had a crazy damage mode, so he could still accept it. Right now, he only needed to chase after the evil emperor. At the same time, he could attack the other evil spirit races, so why not? Boom! Another bolt of tribulation lightning and tribulation fire swept down, sending the evil emperor flying. The evil emperor let out a low roar and rolled a few times in the air, looking a bit miserable. The problem was that he just looked extremely miserable. However, the rest of the evil spirit race weren't so lucky. Those with slightly lower cultivation were directly blasted into pieces. Or they were directly seriously injured and sent flying, and then easily killed by the other territory lords. Correspondingly, the power of the heavenly tribulation became more and more terrifying. It had already surpassed the heavenly tribulation of all the heavenly gods. It could be said that it was the first heavenly tribulation below the heavenly gods. The evil emperor is being chased. The Tianyun territory lord is really ruthless. But if this continues, can the Tianyun territory lord withstand such a terrifying heavenly tribulation? Even I feel that it will be extremely difficult to deal with it. This is the 10th level of the heavenly tribulation, which means that the Tianyun territory lord is a 10 refining earth lord. Oh my god, this is a legendary level. The Tianyun territory lord is actually a 10 refining earth lord. This is really incredible. What should we do now? We can't help him. We can only help to clear the surrounding evil spirit race. The other territory lords were very worried about Tianyun. They were fine and would not be attacked by the evil emperor, but now it was Tianyun's turn to be in trouble. While they were worried, Tianyun sent a voice transmission to them. Everyone, help to resist the other evil spirit races. Soon, the rescued heaven creator race will be able to escape. When that time comes, run away immediately, don't worry about me. They were all stunned. In that case, Tianyun was really going all out. They could still resist the evil emperor now. If Tianyun succeeded in breaking through, when the heavenly tribulation disappeared, it would be Tianyun's time to die. Chapter 1719. The sight of him being chased by Tianyun was hilarious. The previously arrogant heretical emperor was now in a sorry state. The heavenly tribulation kept striking him and sending him flying. Correspondingly, Tianyun was also enduring the strikes of the heavenly tribulation. It was difficult for him to block them. Even if he tried to retaliate, he would feel numb and uncomfortable when he was struck. However, right now, he could only use this chance to continue chasing after the evil emperor and try to stop him for a while. Damn it, you despicable human, how dare you use the heavenly tribulation to suppress me? The heretical emperor gritted his teeth. Tianyun was guarding the side of the passage. He couldn't defeat the Fecta region master even if he wanted to. As long as Tianyun was there, he couldn't go over. He could only watch from the sidelines. As soon as he got closer, Tianyun immediately came over and chased him for a while. Even the domineering heretical emperor couldn't get close. The power of the heavenly tribulation was on full display here. Even someone as strong as the heretical emperor couldn't block it. So what if I use the heavenly tribulation to suppress you? Come and kill me if you can. Tianyun laughed in disdain. Even though Tianyun had used the heavenly tribulation to suppress the heretical emperor, who cared about fairness? Defeating the heretical emperor was the right thing to do. I hope you can withstand the heavenly tribulation. If you do, you're dead. The heretical emperor's eyes were bloodshot. He wanted to crush Tianyun to death, but he couldn't. The closer he got to Tianyun, the stronger the heavenly tribulation became. That was why he couldn't kill Tianyun. Just like when they were outside the barrier, he wanted to kill Tianyun, but he couldn't do it. He didn't care if he was in Tianyun's territory, but he was still being suppressed in his own territory. It was very displeasing. But even though he was displeased, the evil emperor could only wait and hope that Tianyun would be killed by the heavenly tribulation. However, Tianyun was able to withstand the heavenly tribulations that were constantly descending. It looked like he was having a relatively easy time. Although its power had increased by quite a bit, it was still within an acceptable range. As time passed by, Heavenly Goddess Yuji and the others quickly approached this place, and they finally emerged from the passageway. Yi Tianyun immediately sent a telepathic message to the Fecta domain ruler. Everyone is out. There's no need to hold on any longer. Good. The Fecta domain lord roared and loosened the hand seal. The moment he released the seal, the passageway immediately closed up. Originally, it was forcefully closed, but it was forced open. In a situation where it wasn't fully opened, it was instantly closed. He had already used his full strength, but he was still let go like this. What face would he have left? The evil emperor immediately charged over, wanting to stop the heaven creators and completely ignoring the heavenly tribulation. As bolts of tribulation lightning came crashing down, the evil emperor's body froze again and again, unable to continue forward. It was like stepping into a swamp. He couldn't walk quickly, and instead, he sank deeper and deeper. Hyunyun quickly approached him, and a terrifying tribulation lightning came crashing down. Boom! The evil emperor was sent flying, and the surface of his body was charred black. However, he wasn't seriously injured. His skin was thick, so he couldn't cause too much damage. However, sending him flying wasn't a problem. I said, "Don't even think about getting past me." Yi Tianyun laughed. This was the effect he wanted. He didn't expect the heavenly tribulation's effect to be so good. Previously, he thought that he would be able to stop it slightly. Who knew that it would be so good? He easily stopped the evil emperor and was trapped by him. Although he also felt very uncomfortable, at least he wouldn't be crushed. Bastard! The evil emperor roared angrily. Then he made a grabbing motion in the air. Suddenly, a black light burst forth from the void around him. Immediately afterward, a black canopy of the sky enveloped a large area around them. The domain lord, who had been trying to escape, immediately bounced back and was blocked by the thick canopy of the sky. What's this? They were all dumbstruck. How could there be such a setup? Heavenly Goddess Yuji and the others' expressions changed upon seeing this. Even the Fecta domain lord's expression darkened. Chapter 1720. I didn't expect you to force me to use this move. You're really capable. I admit that I've underestimated you. Now you're my biggest problem. The evil emperor looked coldly at Yi Tianyun. Not only did you force me to use my awakening, but you also used the heavenly godly screen in advance. You're really capable. The evil emperor was so angry that he had even used the heavenly godly screen. Tianyun knew about the heavenly godly screen. After it was used, the surroundings would be enveloped by a thick shield that was very sturdy. The cultivators trapped inside would be suppressed in terms of both strength and defense. On the contrary, the evil spirit race would be greatly improved. This was like a formation that could strengthen oneself. It could restrain the enemy and strengthen oneself, becoming a super powerful formation. A long time ago, during the Battle of the God Emperors, it had been used once. Even if the cultivators trapped inside did not all die, they were almost dead. How could they not die when they were trapped inside and constantly attacked? Especially when they were trapped here in the base camp. If the evil spirit army kept coming out, they would be dead for sure. Most importantly, they had no reinforcements. This way, they would be one-sidedly suppressed. However, after using it once, it was basically impossible to use it a second time. It would take a long time to set it up before it could be used a second time. The price was also very high. This was most likely a mobile formation. If one looked closely, they would discover that the surrounding planets were connected to each other to form a corresponding formation. If the entire formation moved, it would be a mobile godly ultimate killing formation. It was no wonder that the Fecta domain lord and the others had such ugly expressions when they saw it. This meant that they were going to risk their lives and had only used it to make sure that they were trapped here. However, in theory, it was a huge loss. Even though there were so many domain lords, there were still too few of them. If they used it on a battlefield with countless experts, it would be the most worthwhile. Seems like it's really an honor. Lee Tianyun looked at the heavenly godly screen. Even though the heavenly tribulation was not blocked, it did not destroy the heavenly godly screen either. The two did not interfere with each other, mainly because the heavenly godly screen was far away. The heavenly tribulation did not touch the heavenly godly screen, so it was naturally fine. It is indeed your honor, and it is also the honor of the other region lords. Wasting one of my heaven gold divine screens is enough of an honor for all of you. The evil emperor turned to look at the other region lords and said coldly, "Destroy them." At that moment, the passageway opened quickly, and the demonic god army flew out from it. Not only the evil god army, but other elders also appeared. It could be said that all of them had been mobilized. Under such a large formation, it could be said that they had the upper hand. If they still didn't make a move, it would be a waste of an opportunity. After the evil god army came out, they quickly united and formed an evil spirits. This evil spirits was much larger than usual, which meant that they were much more powerful. The power of the other region lords was slightly suppressed, which meant that there was a double effect. Under such circumstances, the situation was not too optimistic. I want to see how you're going to help them this time. The evil king stared at Lee Tianyun and said, "Even if you can stop me, don't think that my race doesn't have any experts left. That's true, but it's enough that I can stop you. If I can't stop you, I'm afraid that I won't even have a chance to resist." Lee Tianyun still chose to stop the evil king. The situation had become dangerous, but it didn't mean that it was over. After all, if the evil king wasn't suppressed by anyone, together with the heavenly towering divine screen, he would really be finished. Then I want to see how long you can hold me back. The evil king didn't make a move this time. Instead, he flew to the side and just looked at him. It seemed like he didn't want to make a move. In any case, if he made a move, he would be sent flying by the heavenly tribulation. He might as well wait obediently. Relying on his other subordinates was enough to eliminate the other region lords. Especially under the heavenly towering divine screen, no one could escape, so there was no need to worry about not being able to eliminate them. Lee Tianyun narrowed his eyes. Could it be that the evil king could always maintain his strongest state? He didn't believe that. I can't hold you back for too long, but I can at least let you out of your awakened state. At that time, you won't be so strong. Lee Tianyun smiled faintly. Is that so? Maybe I won't be that strong, but under the heavenly towering divine screen, even without the awakened state, I can still crush you. The evil king sneered. Is that so? Then I'm looking forward to it. Lee Tianyun's eyes flashed. After he broke through to the heavenly god realm, he would still be able to fight the evil king. In crazy mode, his combat power would definitely not be weaker than the evil king. He wouldn't dare to say that he was stronger than the evil king, but at least he wouldn't be crushed. Tianyun region lord, we need to start breaking the heavenly towering divine screen now. It will take some time. Don't think that the heavenly towering divine screen is invincible. We can still break it. The Fekta region lord sent a voice transmission at this time to remind Lee Tianyun not to despair. In fact, they still had a chance to escape. We can break it? Lee Tianyun's eyes lit up. He thought that they would be trapped here to death. It seemed like there was still a chance to escape. Yes, our friends from the Sky Creator clan know how to break it. As long as we defend it, we can escape. The Fekta region lord and the others didn't despair. They were still full of hope. Okay, leave the evil king to me. You guys go ahead and break it. Lee Tianyun only needed to guard the evil king. Then he started to resist the heavenly tribulation seriously. After a while, the evil king started to wake up. After that, a large number of the evil god army were bounced out. They looked very dispirited. It seemed that this state of fusion had consumed a lot of their energy. The evil king also looked very dispirited. However, he immediately started to swallow all kinds of elixirs to recover. He didn't do anything either. He just waited here. At the same time, the other evil god army joined the battlefield and fought with the other region lords. Lee Tianyun couldn't stop them. He could only resist the heavenly tribulation and keep an eye on the evil king. Boom! Yun resisted the heavenly tribulation again and again. His body began to be tempered and strengthened crazily. He could feel that the power in his body began to increase greatly. At this time, the progress of his breakthrough had reached more than 80%. If this continued, he would soon complete the breakthrough. Even so, the situation on the Fekta region lord's side was not optimistic. He had already been attacked by the evil king. Now, he was being suppressed by the heavenly towering divine screen and so many evil spirit tribe members. Everything was very dangerous. Many of the region lords started to get injured. Yun couldn't heal them. He could only watch them get injured. If this continued, they would soon die. Chapter 1721. If Yun wanted to break through to the heavenly god level, not only would his base stats increase significantly, but he would also be able to upgrade all of his skills and purchase powerful equipment sets. After breaking through to the heavenly god level, there were many skills that could be upgraded, including crazy mode. His current crazy mode was 128 times increase. Once he upgraded it to the next level, it would be 256 times. An explosive power of 256 times was absolutely terrifying. Originally, 128 times increase was already terrifying enough. Now that it was 256 times, the significance was completely different. Not only could he use crazy mode, but he could also purchase equipment sets. This meant that after breaking through to the heavenly god level, he would usher in a brand new transformation. Everything will change when I break through to the heavenly god level. Yun had a determined look in his eyes. In his eyes, as long as he broke through to the heavenly god level, his current predicament would change drastically. Escaping should not be an issue. However, he was the only one who thought this way. The other realm leaders and the evil spirit tribe did not think that Yun would be able to change anything after breaking through. In the eyes of the evil spirit tribe, Yun would die after he completed his breakthrough. He was arrogant because of the heavenly tribulation now, but once the heavenly tribulation dissipated, he would only be a lesser heavenly god. What could a lesser heavenly god do here? Any random celestial god would be a lower celestial god, and the slightly more powerful ones would be middle celestial gods. Under these circumstances, what was the point of breaking through to the lesser heavenly god level? Even if he could suppress the other evil spirit tribe members, Yun definitely would not be able to resist the power of the evil emperor. Thankfully, the Fekta realm leader and the others did not despair. They continued to break through the heavenly divine screen's defenses, but they did not know how long it would take for them to break through the heavenly divine screen's defenses. This heavenly divine screen is a little difficult to break. It will take a long time to break through. Heavenly Goddess Yuji and the others immediately felt that it would be a little difficult to break through. Now that things have come to this, we have no choice but to keep fighting, right? The Fekta realm leader was also aware of the difficulty involved, but no matter how difficult it was, they had no choice but to persevere. Otherwise, they would have to destroy the evil spirit tribe. In their current state, could they destroy the evil spirit race? Right now, the Sword Edge region lord and the others were frantically resisting the evil spirit race's attack. Especially when the evil god army fused together, the power that erupted out was the most shocking. It was almost a suppressive force that made it hard for them to breathe. Many of the domain lords were almost killed by a single punch. But even if they didn't die, they were heavily injured and could only retreat to the side to rest. Are we all going to die here? What happened to the 90% certainty? Now that we're all trapped here, if we all die here, that would be too much of a loss. Yeah, I don't want to die yet. I'm not willing to die here like this. The Alliance Master made a mistake. That's right, the Alliance Master made a mistake, and a very serious one at that. Many of the region lords started to feel pessimistic. They felt that Yun's plan was a huge mistake. Now that they were in deep danger, if they could not get rid of the Sky Creator race in time, they would really die here. With so many region lords dying here, many of the divine regions would be leaderless. They would definitely be in a state of chaos for a period of time, and they needed to deal with it. Especially when their morale plummeted, this was not a good thing. Enough. Although there were some mistakes, there were no problems with the plan, and it was very stable. The problem was that the evil emperor had a trick up his sleeve, and no one expected it. The Alliance Master was able to use the heavenly tribulation to restrain the evil emperor. That already proves a lot of things. The Sword Edge Region Lord shouted from the side. If the Region Lord's morale was low, they would die even faster. Some things can only be admitted. Don't blame the Alliance Master. Instead of saying that it's the Alliance Master's problem, it's all our problems. Who would have thought that there would be a heavenly divine screen? Without that thing, we would have escaped long ago. And it was the Alliance Master who helped us escape. The cloud-piercing Region Lord also spoke up for Yi Tianyun. Yi Tianyun's decision was definitely not wrong. Although it was a little unexpected, it was still within the acceptable range. As for the heavenly divine screen, they really hadn't thought about it. No one could have thought about it, so they couldn't blame Yi Tianyun. They were the ones who hadn't thought about it, so everyone was to blame. It's actually all our fault. If you hadn't come to save us, Heavenly Goddess Yu Ji and the others were feeling extremely guilty. So many powerful beings were going to die here in order to save them, and they really felt bad. Alright, don't say such depressing things. Can't you see that the Alliance Master is still transcending his tribulation? Can't you see the hope in his eyes? Why are we so pessimistic? If we keep fighting, there will be a chance. The Fekta Region Lord's eyes were also filled with hope. He didn't stop making hand seals to break the heavenly divine screen. He wasn't going to despair until the very last moment. That's right, even the Alliance Master hasn't given up hope, so why are we so dejected? Even if we die, we're going to take them down with us. You're right. Even if we die, we're going to wear them down. That way, we'll be able to buy more time for our own forces. All of their morale had been boosted, and they were only motivated by the hope in Yi Tianyun's eyes. This was the importance of the Alliance Master. If even the Alliance Master had given up on struggling, then their morale would quickly plummet. When that time came, they would definitely be forced into retreat. When the morale of the evil emperor's side skyrocketed, he sneered, "A bunch of fools. Everything will be over once you break the towering sky divine curtain." The evil emperor thought that they might be able to break the heavenly divine screen, but it would take an extremely long time. Judging from their current situation, would they be able to last that long? Soon, Yi Tianyun continued to defend against the tribulation lightning. This was a heavenly god-level tribulation, so there weren't many changes in its pattern, and it didn't unleash any particularly strange techniques. It was only slightly more powerful, but not overly so. As such, everything was within his control. Even though it was extremely difficult to defend against the tribulation lightning, he was still able to defend against it. As he continued to defend against the tribulation lightning, he became more and more powerful, and his progress rate continued to increase. Soon, he had reached over 90% progress. Just a little bit more and I'll succeed. Chapter 1722. Kaboom! The thick divine thunder struck down heavily on Yi Tianyun's body, accompanied by a loud noise, and in an instant, a terrible flash of light appeared in the void. Yi Tianyun resisted the divine thunder and finally bombarded it with a punch. Break! Yi Tianyun roared, the power in his body gushed out, and the divine thunder that came down was smashed into countless light spots and dissipated in the air. When the divine thunder was smashed, a beautiful sound came to his ears. Ding! Congratulations to player Tianyun for successfully breaking through to the lower heavenly god realm. Finally, a ray of divine light fell from the sky and fell on Yi Tianyun's body, representing that he really broke through to the lower heavenly god realm. Even though it was still a negligible cultivation, it was a leap to a whole new realm for him. With a ray of divine light falling, Yi Tianyun continued to absorb this power and strengthen his body. Various kinds of energy flowed in his body and began to gradually transform into Heavenly God's power. From Heavenly Lord's power to Heavenly God's power, this conversion still takes some time. It's a pity that I can't complete the special upgrade task. Yun didn't want to upgrade before, largely because he didn't condense 10 planets. After all, the special upgrade task can give him a lot of rewards. The best reward is the title. Without the title, he would obviously lose a lot of power. But now, if he doesn't break through, then they will be finished. In this state, he can only break through forcibly, otherwise, there is only a dead end. It's a pity, but at least there is hope to survive. Ding. Successfully completed the special upgrade task, breakthrough to a higher realm. After condensing the 10th planet, successfully obtained 1 million compression crazy point, 1 million compression proficiency, and obtained the title, Super Heavenly God. Super Heavenly God. Against Heavenly God realm, there is a 10-fold increase in combat power. At the same time, there is a suppressive effect. As the gap in cultivation increases, the effect will weaken. What? Yun was shocked. Obviously he only condensed 8 planets now. How did he succeed in reaching the standard? This made him very shocked. He felt incredible. Although it was a good thing to be able to obtain it, why did he obtain it? The number of planets was not even up to the standard, yet he could still succeed. What the hell? Immediately after, he looked carefully and quickly found the problem. The reason he was able to reach the standard was very simple. It was because his light attribute and dark attribute were equivalent to 4 planets, which added up to exactly 10 planets. This meant that these 2 attributes were extremely difficult. 1 planet was equivalent to 2 planets, so this was naturally the result. Everything was just right, and he had successfully reached the target. So that's how it is. What a pleasant surprise. Yun was pleasantly surprised. He had thought that he wouldn't be able to obtain this title and reward, but now he could. The Super Heavenly God title was no different from the previous one. It didn't increase one's strength by much, just a little more than 10 times. However, to be able to display such power against a heavenly god was already quite shocking. Ding. Successfully accepted the special leveling mission and broke through to the God Emperor stage. Complete the reward and obtain the effect of full evolution. Soon after, a message popped up asking him to accept a new mission. As expected, the basic requirement to break through to the God Emperor stage is to possess all attributes. This is really difficult. Yun looked at the requirements. There were too many requirements for all attributes. Fortunately, he already had more than half of them. There was only a small portion left. At most, he would need experience. The experience needed to break through to the God Emperor stage was definitely an astronomical figure. Just breaking through to the mid-stage lower heavenly god was already a very explosive experience. Of course, if he killed more heavenly gods, it wouldn't be difficult to break through. For example, there were many heavenly gods right now. If he killed them all, it would be an explosive experience. Yun quickly accepted all the divine lights, and his overall strength increased greatly. At this time, the evil emperor was already ready to fight. Once Yun finished breaking through, he would immediately rush up and kill him. At the same time, the Fecta domain ruler and the others felt their hearts tighten. It seemed that they were really going to be attacked by the evil emperor this time. It seems that we are going to face a bigger crisis this time. The Fecta domain ruler's heart was very heavy. Now that the evil emperor joined the battle, the pressure will definitely increase. Finally, you succeeded in breaking through in front of me. You are really something. But that's it, I will tear you apart bit by bit. Let's see if you can still be so arrogant then. The evil emperor had already thought about it. He wanted to tear Yun into pieces, but he couldn't kill him right away. If he killed Yun right away, it would be too easy. He wanted to torture and control Yun a little bit. While he was thinking about his plan, Yun had already started to level up. Level up crazy mode. Ding! Successfully leveled up crazy mode. Damage increased to 256 times, EXP increased by 256 times, alchemy speed increased by 256 times. A series of effects popped up. There was no change from before. The biggest change was that the damage was doubled. 256 times, the damage and experience exploded. Lee Tianyun felt a bit distressed when he deducted a lot of crazy point. But it's still quite good to be able to get so many benefits. Very good, I want the set. Ding, successfully exchanged for Great Witch Divine Set. Great Witch Divine Set requires the cultivation of Heavenly God to equip it. After transforming into Great Witch Divine, the user's healing power increased by 1,000 times, defense increased by 2,000 times, invincibility skill, absolute defense against Heavenly God level attack for 5 minutes, cooldown time is 2 hours. At the same time, the user can heal everyone in sight. The effect varies according to cultivation level. The comprehensive effect is to increase healing power by 1,000 times, consumes 10 crazy point per minute. The price is 1,000 sin point. Lee Tianyun immediately exchanged for Great Witch Divine Set. This is the upgraded version of Voodoo Wood Divine Set. The effect of Voodoo Wood Divine Set doesn't have much effect on his current cultivation level. Only the healing power can maintain a good effect. For example, the healing ability could be increased by 500 times, or the defense could be increased by 1,000 times, and so on. This was something that could be done when one's cultivation was low. When he broke through to Upper Heavenly Lord, the effect was only a few times, a dozen times. It's impossible to give 500 times the effect. Chapter 1723. You're finally done, this will be your end. The evil emperor's eyes were cold, his palms turned into sharp claws, pitch-black energy constantly surged out from his palms, as if ready to burst out at any moment. Sharp killing intent wreaked havoc in his palm. He was already prepared for battle. Alliance leader, hurry up and run, we'll protect you. The Sword Edge Region Master and the others hurriedly sent a message to Lee Tianyun, telling him to hurry up and run over. If they stayed together, they would be able to deal with the evil emperor. Lee Tianyun turned a deaf ear to the Sword Edge Region Master, completely ignoring the Region Master. This made them anxious, wondering if Lee Tianyun was planning to fight the evil emperor head-on. If they really had to fight head-on, it would really be fatal. Even if he broke through to the Heavenly God level, the gap between him and the evil emperor was still huge. Yes, he was the alliance leader, but there was no need for him to bear all the pressure. No need, leave the evil emperor to me. Lee Tianyun sent a message at this time, shocking them all. Before this, they had guessed that Lee Tianyun would fight the evil emperor head-on, but after thinking about it carefully, he probably wouldn't do that. The gap between their cultivation levels was so huge, he had to rely on the heavenly tribulations to fight the evil emperor head-on. Now that he had broken through, without the support of the heavenly tribulations, he probably wouldn't dare to fight the evil emperor head-on. Who knew that he would really do that? Wouldn't he be courting death? Alliance leader, don't be impulsive. Even if you broke through to the Heavenly God level, there is still a huge gap between you and the evil emperor. Yeah, the evil emperor hasn't completely unleashed his power. You've seen it before, the power of the evil emperor. Alliance leader, hurry up and come over. They hurriedly tried to persuade Lee Tianyun, telling him not to be so impulsive. Even if he had improved, he shouldn't be so reckless, right? Don't worry, we can't say that we will win this battle, but at least we can escape. Lee Tianyun laughed. In front of everyone, he put on the Grand Magus Divine Set. His body immediately flashed with dazzling green light. In an instant, layers of green clouds appeared in the sky, and then began to release rays of green light that enveloped the various region lords. Immediately after, they felt their own healing powers undergo earth-shattering changes. Their broken limbs recovered in the blink of an eye, far surpassing their previous recovery abilities. One by one, those who had lost some of their combat strength instantly recovered more than half. If they stayed a little longer, they would definitely be able to fully recover. Such a shocking effect caused them to be stupefied. Previously, Lee Tianyun was able to release healing powers on them, but it was far less effective than now. Now, the effect was like the difference between heaven and earth. Under the powerful healing power, all the region lords recovered their surging battle strength. Perhaps there was no increase in their combat power, but at least when they were not injured, their combat power could be maintained at a relatively high level. especially now that he was not afraid of getting injured. If he was hit, he would recover immediately after resting for a while. This situation stunned all of them, including the evil emperor. They recovered from their initial decline in an instant. All of them had recovered their combat strength and were in a very good state. This healing power, why is it so shocking? After breaking through to the heavenly god realm, it can increase to this level? The evil emperor's face was gloomy. This kid really can't be left alive. Just this support effect alone is enough to make it difficult for others to take him down. With such powerful healing power, they would not even care about the injuries they suffered in battle, and when the time came, they would only get stronger and stronger. Even if they could rely on numbers to exhaust them to death, the price they would have to pay would be extremely high. Therefore, Tianyun had to be eliminated, or their side would definitely suffer heavy losses. Immediately after, the evil emperor's figure flashed, and he appeared in front of Tianyun. His pitch-black claws grabbed at the void and firmly enveloped Tianyun. When he attacked, he would definitely use a killing move to control Tianyun in one fell swoop. Tianyun knew that the evil emperor would not be able to hold back an attack, and he was already prepared. His body flashed with a dazzling green light, instantly forming a powerful defense. Boom! The void claws grabbed at Tianyun, and he was only able to bounce back, but his body was not injured at all. The terrifying defense caused the evil emperor's pupils to shrink. He did not dare to say that he used all his strength in this attack, but at least he used more than half of it. Let alone subduing a lower heavenly god, he could even kill a lower heavenly god in an instant. Who knew that there was not even a trace of injury on the surface of Tianyun's body, which was enough to show how terrifying his defense was. This was under his current state, and his defense had increased by 2,000 times. What kind of concept was that? It was definitely much harder than a heavenly god's spiritual treasure. Of course, as his cultivation increased, it would definitely rapidly decrease. At least for now, it was already quite heaven-defying. The attack that could easily make a hole in his body now could not even leave a trace on the surface of his body. This is your attack? What a joke! Tianyun mocked. The evil emperor's attack did not hurt him at all, and he was finally not like before when he was being beaten up. How can this be? The evil emperor's eyes narrowed. He did not expect that his attack would have no effect on Tianyun at all. When the Fecta domain master and the others saw the situation, they were stunned, and they were extremely shocked. They also did not expect that Tianyun would have such a terrifying effect after breaking through to the heavenly god realm. Not only could it greatly increase their healing power, but it also gave them extremely terrifying defense. It was really terrifying, but it did not have any effect under the evil emperor's attack. Is this where the alliance leader's confidence comes from? Is he so heaven-defying after breaking through to the heavenly god realm? Even if it's the foundation of a 10 refining Earth Lord, it should not have such a terrifying effect. But it's right in front of us, isn't it? As expected of the alliance leader, he is really amazing. They were extremely surprised. They had been a little pressured before, but how could they feel any pressure now? As long as they continue to persevere, the heavenly god curtain will be broken, and they will be able to kill a large number of evil spirit race. Although they can't kill all of them, it seems that at least the pressure will not be so great, at least they can resist for a longer time. It's just that they don't know how long Tianyun can last. As for how long it can last, it really depends on their combat power. As long as they kill more evil spirit race, the more crazy points they get, they can continue, and the consumption is almost zero. It's just a simple consumption of crazy points. Compared to the war of attrition, Tianyun is simply invincible. Chapter 1724. Faced with Tianyun's thick skin, the evil emperor didn't stop attacking. Instead, he immediately unleashed an even stronger attack on Tianyun. Boom! Boom! Tianyun kept blocking the evil emperor's attacks, but the evil emperor's attacks didn't seem to have any effect on him. Under the continuous attacks, Tianyun could clearly feel that he was injured. Although the injury wasn't serious, his defense had been severely damaged. He didn't expect that his defense, which had been enhanced by so many times, would still be broken. Of course, this injury could only be considered a superficial wound. Combined with his heaven-defying healing power, he basically recovered instantly. There wasn't a single scar left. However, it was a fact that his defense had been broken. The evil emperor's attack power was still very strong. If he used it together with the evil deity army and the power of awakening, he could really cause severe damage to him. However, it seemed that his attacks didn't have any effect on him at all. He could barely hurt him. Evil Emperor, is this all you've got? Weren't you quite arrogant before? Didn't you want to kill me? What about now? Yi Tianyun sneered. However, he was still very sure of the evil emperor's strength. If he hadn't been exhausted by him previously, he would have been quite difficult to deal with. Damn it! How did this kid become so tough? The evil emperor's heart sank. He had already used all his skills and the towering sky godly screen to strengthen him. However, he still couldn't cause any damage to Yi Tianyun. He had finally managed to injure Yi Tianyun. However, with his heaven-defying healing power, he recovered in the blink of an eye. This was unbelievable. He had never thought that a heavenly venerable would have such a drastic change after breaking through to the heavenly god level. Compared to before, the difference was too terrifying. He was very shocked that even an upper heavenly god couldn't cause any damage to him. If there were a few more of them, how could he fight? Not only did he have a heaven-defying defense, but his companions were also constantly healing. He was basically a walking spiritual medicine. Furthermore, it was a very sturdy spirit herb, one that could not be destroyed. This attack is too weak. I can't feel any pain at all. Can it be stronger? Yi Tianyun swung his arm and gestured for Evil Emperor to continue attacking him. The Evil Emperor's expression was unsightly. He was mocking him in front of so many of his subordinates. If he couldn't kill Yi Tianyun, he would lose all his face. Very good. I didn't expect you to have such a change after becoming a heavenly god. I have underestimated you, but this is the end of it. Evil Emperor took out another awakening crystal. He did not expect that he could awaken again. Under normal circumstances, Evil Emperor could only awaken once. If he wanted to awaken again, he had to completely recover. Otherwise, it would be very difficult to make up for the deficit in his body. This was similar to the ignition of one's bloodline. If one were to overdo it, one's bloodline power would be depleted. When that happened, not only would it affect one's cultivation base, but it would also greatly affect one's cultivation progress. Evil Emperor had used his full strength to execute this attack a second time, and there was no doubt that he had been forced into a corner by Yi Tianyun, and he had no choice but to use his full strength. Awaken! After Evil Emperor swallowed another awakening crystal, the evil deity army quickly rushed over, no longer entangled with the other region lords. When they came to Evil Emperor's side, they quickly integrated with him, and their power began to increase rapidly. Evil Emperor can still awaken? Can he still persist? The Fecta region lord and the others' faces darkened. They had all seen the power of Evil Emperor's awakening. If he awakened again, even if Yi Tianyun's defense was heaven-defying, he would still be injured. Yi Tianyun squinted his eyes. He also did not expect Evil Emperor to choose to awaken again. Evil Emperor could use such a self-damaging move again. It seemed that Evil Emperor's physique was really tough. After a while, Evil Emperor successfully awakened again, and his terrifying power appeared in front of everyone again. However, compared to before, it was still a level lower. After all, the second time was definitely not as terrifying as the first time. Even so, the overall power was still infinitely close to that of an emperor god. It had reached a heaven-defying level. The surrounding void quickly twisted, and together with the power of the heavenly godly screen, it was not much weaker than the first time. Die! As soon as the integration was completed, Evil Emperor charged towards Yi Tianyun. His figure flashed, and he appeared in front of everyone again with extreme speed. In the next second, he was already in front of Yi Tianyun, and then he reached out his hand to pierce through Yi Tianyun's chest, as he had done before. This time, Yi Tianyun was also well prepared. He blocked with his arms and collided with the palm. Boom! The terrifying compressed energy exploded on Yi Tianyun's arms, and he was sent flying. A large part of his arms caved in, and there was black gas constantly invading his arms. Despite his terrifying defense, his arms were nearly crippled by this move. What powerful combat prowess! Yi Tianyun was shocked. He did not expect his heaven-defying defense to almost be crippled. As expected, after the awakening, Evil Emperor's power had reached a level that could suppress him. However, compared to the previous situation where Evil Emperor could kill him with one move, it was still much better. In such a state, with his heaven-defying healing power, he could recover quickly. In a short while, his arms had recovered. You are strong, but you are still far from it. Yi Tianyun shook his hand. It looks so casual, as if it doesn't hurt or itch. He doesn't feel anything at all. Evil Emperor's eyes darkened. He had awakened, but he still could not kill Yi Tianyun. Alliance leader, you are amazing. The Sword Edge Region Master and the others were shocked. Facing Evil Emperor's awakened power, Evil Emperor had only scratched the surface. It should be said that the injury was not light, but facing the powerful healing power, it was only scratching the surface. Your skin is really hard, but I don't believe you can last forever. Evil Emperor's hand flashed, and a bone spear appeared in his palm. The bone spear in his hand had many sharp thorns. No one knew what kind of bone could be used to make such a weapon. As soon as this weapon appeared, the Fekta Region Master and the others' faces changed. Obviously, they recognized what this weapon was. When Yi Tianyun saw this bone spear, his eyes turned cold. This was not an ordinary weapon, but an upper celestial god's spiritual treasure, and it was definitely a top-grade one. The originally heaven-defying Evil Emperor, coupled with this terrifying bone spear, could probably cut him in half with one slash. Especially the bone spear, which was constantly absorbing energy from the surroundings. If he was hit, the sharp bone spear would immediately suck him dry. Chapter 1725. The Sky Devourer Bone Blade was the main weapon of the previous generation's celestial emperors. I didn't expect the heretical emperor to get his hands on it. The Fekta Domain Lord and the others recognized it. That was what the record said. The Sky Devourer Bone Blade was actually the evil spirit's exclusive weapon. Ever since it had been sealed in defeat, it had been missing. They hadn't expected it to be in the heretical emperor's hands. The Sky Devourer Bone Blade had devoured the essence and blood of countless cultivators. Now, it looked even more terrifying and sinister. One touch and you'd be sucked dry. It hadn't even touched any life, but it was already absorbing all sorts of energy in the air. It was easy to imagine how terrifying it would be if you were stabbed. Yi Tianyun's heart sank when he saw the heaven-devouring bone blade. He didn't think that he could withstand the heaven-devouring bone blade's attack with just his body alone. What he needed to do now was buy time. He probably couldn't kill the heretical emperor. Given his current condition, he couldn't do that. Even 256 times his strength wouldn't work. Although he hadn't used it, he knew he couldn't kill the heretical emperor. Especially now that he had taken out the heaven-devouring bone blade. This was the first time he had taken out a weapon. Previously, he had dealt with them empty-handed. This meant that the heretical emperor still had a lot of power he hadn't used. If he did, he'd probably reach an even more terrifying level. The heretical emperor didn't want to use his full strength. This was the arrogance of a superior. It would be too embarrassing to use it all. How could he not lose face if he had to use his full strength to deal with a small fry? But that was precisely why Yi Tianyun felt so relaxed. Those who disdained to use their full strength to fight would usually be those who underestimated his existence and would be instantly killed. The heretical emperor was an exception. The power he possessed had reached a heaven-defying level, and he couldn't deal with him. It'll be your honor to die by the Sky Devourer Bone Blade. Become one of us. The heretical emperor swept up a beam of black light and tore through space, slashing toward Yi Tianyun. He no longer wanted to control Yi Tianyun, he just wanted to destroy Yi Tianyun. Black light flashed, and it was like the world was being devoured by this darkness. Everything disappeared, including the surrounding energy, space, and light. Everything was being devoured by the heaven-devouring bone blade. As long as it was touched by the heaven-devouring bone blade, it would all be sucked inside. In the blink of an eye, it was right in front of Tianyun. The entire void was frozen in place, completely devoured by the heaven-devouring bone blade. Before the attack even reached him, Tianyun felt his body being sucked dry bit by bit. The energy on the surface of his body was being absorbed by the heaven-devouring bone blade. The surface was even beginning to turn into energy and dissipate bit by bit. If one were to observe it carefully, they would see that it was being absorbed at a speed visible to the naked eye. There was no pain at all. It was quickly turned into energy and devoured by the heaven-devouring bone blade. Invincible! In an instant, Tianyun did not hesitate at all. He immediately used his strongest move. As long as it was a heavenly god-level attack, he would be invincible for 5 minutes. The evil emperor was infinitely close to becoming a god-emperor, but he was still a heavenly god and not a god-emperor. The moment he released it, there was a ding sound. A layer of faint green shield appeared on the surface of his body. After the shield was formed, there was no problem with his body, and he was no longer being absorbed. At the same time, Tianyun took the attack head-on. It was not that he did not want to dodge, but the evil emperor was too fast. It was really an instant, so fast that they could not see it clearly. Boom! The heavy sword slashed over, and Tianyun was sent flying. He was invincible, but invincible did not mean that he would not be sent flying. It just meant that he would not be injured. The terrifying impact came pressing over, and after Tianyun was sent flying for a distance, he quickly stopped. There was not a single wound on the surface of his body. Forget about being cut in half, not even a single hair on his body was hurt. This was the power of invincibility. He was absolutely invincible below the heavenly god level. What? After the evil emperor slashed down, he thought that he would definitely be able to take Tianyun's life. Even if he could not kill Tianyun, he would at least be able to cut him in half and absorb some of his energy. But now, he found that there was no effect at all. Tianyun was still standing there unharmed, as if nothing had happened. Evil Emperor, why is the power of your sword even weaker than before? Is this so-called heaven-devouring bone blade a fake? Tianyun sneered and began to ridicule the evil emperor. The evil emperor's face sank. This was beyond his expectations. There was no effect at all. This was too inconceivable. He dared to say that even if an upper heavenly god was in front of him, he would be instantly killed. Even if he did not die, he would at least be half crippled. He had tried before, easily cutting upper heavenly gods at the waist. Some of them did not die, but most of their energy was absorbed by the heaven-devouring bone blade, and their bodies were half crippled. But now, it was useless against Tianyun. This was beyond his expectations. The Fecta Domain Lord and the others drew a sharp intake of breath. None of them could believe what they were seeing. That's your alliance leader? The one who saved us? Heavenly Goddess Yuji, who was dealing with the heaven-engulfing divine screen, was paying close attention to what was happening. She was truly given a fright upon seeing this. The evil emperor, who defied the natural order, wasn't able to gain any advantage from Tianyun. On the contrary, he was being forced back repeatedly. That's our alliance leader. He really did save you. The Fecta Domain Lord roared with laughter. He was extremely elated by Tianyun's performance. No wonder Tianyun was so confident. Just this power alone was invincible. Looks like we have a chance to escape. Heavenly Goddess Yuji and the others were extremely excited. Even though it appeared that they had the upper hand, this was only temporary. They didn't know how long Tianyun's current state could last. If he couldn't hold on for much longer, then they would all be screwed. Impossible! The evil emperor didn't stop there. Instead, he charged toward Tianyun again, unleashing one sword strike after another to force Tianyun back. Tianyun was knocked flying over and over again, but he was completely unscathed. The evil emperor was starting to doubt his own life. His powerful attacks were completely ineffective against Enlin. He knew that some techniques could be used to defend against 1 or 2 attacks, but he had never seen anyone who could defend against such a powerful attack for so long. What kind of technique is this? The evil emperor stopped, and there was a hint of panic in his eyes as he looked at Yi Tianyun. This was the first time he was panicking. If Yi Tianyun continued like this, then how were they supposed to win? He looked around to see that the morale of the evil spirit tribe members had already plummeted to an extremely low point. After all, the evil emperor was an invincible being in their hearts. Chapter 1726. The terrifying continuous attacks made Yi Tianyun feel some pressure. Fortunately, he had the invincibility effect. To be precise, it was an absolute defense that could defend against any move. As time passed, the 5 minutes were up. Once the 5 minutes were up, he wouldn't be able to use the invincibility technique. As for the 2-hour cooldown, it seemed very short, and he could recover with a little cooling god stone. In fact, it couldn't be used. Cooling god stones and such had no effect on this invincibility technique. Either they didn't allow it to be used, or the grade of the cooling god stone was too low to recover the cooldown time. This was the same as before. Many things couldn't be used, or the effect was pitifully low. Unless it was upgraded, the effects would be negligible and wouldn't have much of an effect. Looks like I have to fight it out with him. I'll fight it out with him first. Yi Tianyun didn't become a punching bag. He kept attacking Evil Emperor. Immediately, he exploded with a crazy damage mode. 256 times the power instantly stacked in his body. Boom. It was filled with an extreme explosive power, and it exploded in his body. He felt his body was full of terrifying power. The void around him was shaking. This was somewhat similar to Evil Emperor. However, it was still much weaker than Evil Emperor. It seemed that 256 times the damage at the lower celestial god level was terrifying. In fact, compared to the peak of upper celestial god, 256 times was still a distance away, and not a short distance. After the explosion, he held the 5-dragon divine spear and charged toward Evil Emperor. This time, he wasn't passively taking a beating. He took the initiative to attack. 5-dragon roar. Yi Tianyun didn't hesitate to explode with his strongest power. The 3 Empyrean spiritual treasures released their strongest power. Under the support of such terrifying power, the 3 Empyrean spiritual treasures buzzed as if they couldn't withstand such a terrifying explosive power. The power he had now naturally exceeded most celestial gods. Therefore, it was very normal for Empyrean spiritual treasures to reach their limits. Roar! The terrifying 5 dragons rushed out and instantly enveloped the area. Although it couldn't compare to the heavenly towering god screen, it was comparable to the attacks of the evil spirits. How could this be? The evil emperor's eyes narrowed. He had never thought that there would be such great power. He quickly pulled with his hand, and the heaven-devouring bone blade immediately swept up the pitch-black energy. But it was still too slow. He had underestimated Yi Tianyun's power, and he didn't even have the chance to charge up his power. He could only release his defensive power in a short period of time. Due to the suddenness of the release, the power seemed very weak. When the pitch-black energy swept past the 5 dragons, the energy of the 5 dragons began to be devoured and melted. But soon, the 5 dragons' power pounced on him and crushed Evil Emperor's attack. Boom! Evil Emperor was sent flying, and he nearly lost his grip on Heaven Devourer. Half of his body was gone, and black blood flowed out non-stop. As the pitch-black blood dripped into the void, it quickly condensed into an army of evil gods. It wasn't that the evil emperor's blood was the evil god army, but that the evil god army had turned into blood and fused into the evil emperor's body. Now that it was blown away, it naturally returned to its original form. After returning to their original form, the army of evil gods looked weaker. It was obvious that they had been blown away by Yi Tianyun's attack. Their situation was very bad, and they looked very weak. Even an ordinary divine realm expert could kill them. Under this explosion, many of the army of evil gods were blown away, and Evil Emperor's power was greatly reduced. He didn't expect that Yi Tianyun's attack could cause such great damage to Evil Emperor. This situation shocked the Fecta domain ruler and the others. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. They thought that Yi Tianyun's defense was invincible, but they didn't expect his attack to be even more terrifying. Alliance leader's attack is so powerful? This is unbelievable. I really didn't expect this. I thought that his defense was powerful, but who knew that his attack was also so powerful? As expected, heavenly venerables are extremely powerful, and divine realm experts are even more so. They can fight against Evil Emperor directly. Cloud-piercing domain ruler and the others shouted as they attacked fiercely, and the evil spirits next to them couldn't breathe. After all, most of the army of evil gods had been pulled over, and they were constantly being healed, so their combat strength was extremely high. When they saw Yi Tianyun's ferocity, they fought with more vigor than usual, and for a while, the group of evil gods couldn't breathe under the pressure. Evil Emperor's injuries were recovering rapidly, and the area that had lost a section of his body started to be repaired. However, before Evil Emperor could recover, Yi Tianyun continued to attack fiercely. He wanted to take advantage of his weakness to kill him. Yi Tianyun wouldn't slow down. He immediately waved the 5-dragon divine spear and attacked fiercely again. As he swung the spear, he attacked fiercely again and again towards Evil Emperor. "Just an ant, don't be so arrogant." Evil Emperor roared angrily, and the bone spikes on the sky-devouring bone blade in his hand started to extend, and the bone blade enlarged rapidly. Soon, a huge skull appeared on the bone blade, and it wasn't just one skull, but several skulls. Every skull seems to be unlocking a level of energy, and as more and more skulls are unlocked, the energy level is rising steadily. In the next moment, Evil Emperor fiercely slashed, and the 5-dragon crazed roar that pounced over was actually quickly devoured. The two started to cancel each other out, and after a moment, the 5-dragon crazed roar was completely devoured, and then it opened its huge skull mouth to devour Yi Tianyun. However, the remaining power has already become very weak. Yi Tianyun quickly waved his spear, and the skull exploded. As expected of the Evil Emperor, his power can still be stronger. Yi Tianyun didn't expect this. He still hasn't used all of the Evil Emperor's trump card power, and now, a little bit of it is enough to drown his attack. This is just as he expected. The Evil Emperor only used half of his power. If he used his full power just now, then he really wouldn't be the Evil Emperor. He didn't stop attacking, and continued to fight with the Evil Emperor. He is unable to kill him now, but it is not a problem to exhaust the Evil Emperor. Boom! Accompanied by a series of explosions, Yi Tianyun was slightly blown away, and the surface of his body was devoured, and his body began to transform into energy and dissipate. However, soon after, he recovered, but he is no longer in an invincible state. The invincible state can only last for 5 minutes. It is impossible to maintain it forever. "Oh, weren't you very tough just now, and didn't you say that my attacks are useless? Why are you injured now?" When the Evil Emperor saw Yi Tianyun injured, he sneered. He really thought that Yi Tianyun has an invincible defense, but now it seems that he can still be injured. Chapter 1727. Evil Emperor was immediately angered by Yi Tianyun's words. He is still so stubborn at this time. Don't be stubborn. It seems that your previous move can only last for a short time. At least it proves that you are not really invulnerable, and I can still kill you. Evil Emperor laughed, and when the rest of the evil spirit race saw the situation here, they all cheered up. When they saw that Evil Emperor can't hurt Yi Tianyun, they all felt a little desperate. Even Evil Emperor can't hurt Yi Tianyun, let alone them. Now that Evil Emperor injured Yi Tianyun, it proves that Yi Tianyun is not really invincible. Is that so? Let's try it then. Yi Tianyun's injured area was completely healed in no time. His super healing ability allows him to recover at an extremely fast speed. Even if it's just a small injury, it's really nothing to be afraid of. There is damage, but under such a terrifying healing ability, it's basically equivalent to being ignored. Immediately, Yi Tianyun fought with Evil Emperor again. Evil Emperor has a time limit and energy limit. Although Yi Tianyun also has a time limit, as long as his companions help him kill the enemy, it's not a problem. A steady flow of crazy points is equivalent to constantly replenishing his energy. Everything is quite perfect. But correspondingly, after Yi Tianyun lost his invincibility state, every time he attacks, he will be injured. Of course, Evil Emperor is also not much better. Under the repeated attacks, Evil Emperor also suffered a little damage, maybe not as much as Yi Tianyun, but at least he is injured. This kid can still last so long? After Evil Emperor fought with Yi Tianyun many times, Yi Tianyun was injured again and again, but he quickly recovered, without any pressure. He has seen a lot of cultivators who can quickly recover from injuries, but after a few times or many times, they will become weak. After all, the recovery speed of the body is fast, but it consumes too much energy, so after several injuries, it is possible that the recovery speed will slow down or become a little worse. Yi Tianyun was obviously not one of them. He looked completely fine and was still as strong as ever. As long as Yi Tianyun survived, the Vile Emperor would be the loser. The Fecta Domain Lord continued to destroy the heaven-engulfing divine screen. Everything was progressing smoothly. More than half of it has been destroyed. Just a small portion is left. Fortunately, I've studied the Heaven Gold divine screen before. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to do it so quickly. The Fecta Domain Lord's eyes were sharp. He had studied it a long time ago and simulated it many times. Everything was in preparation for the next God-Emperor battle. Back then, the heavenly towering divine screen had caused them to suffer severe losses. Hence, it was very likely that it would appear again. The Fecta Domain Lord would definitely put in more effort into his research. Scram! Yi Tianyun fiercely swung the 5 dragons' crazed roar. The 5 dragons quickly swept over and pushed the Vile Emperor back. The damage was not weak. Even if it couldn't deal much damage to the Vile Emperor, it would still be difficult for him to block it. At the same time, Yi Tianyun transmitted to them, "Gather together quickly and enter the Fecta Domain Master's internal dimension. Hurry!" They immediately entered the Fecta Domain Master's internal dimension without any hesitation. Through this battle, Yi Tianyun's words had the effect of absolute command. Everyone was convinced of his strength. Nothing was more convincing than powerful strength. In the blink of an eye, they all entered the Fecta Domain Master's body, including the Sky Creators. The Sky Creators' lives were all saved by Yi Tianyun. They would definitely listen to him. Swish! Yi Tianyun's figure flickered. He instantly put some distance between himself and the Fecta Domain Master. He had already escaped from the Heaven Gold godly screen. He let the Fecta Domain Master enter his internal dimension. Then he prepared the teleportation divine stone in his hand and activated it immediately. Chapter 1728. He disappeared? The Vile Emperor's sword didn't cut Yi Tianyun in half. It only tore a hole in the space in front of him. There was nothing inside. There wasn't even a hair on Yi Tianyun's body, to say nothing of him. The Vile Emperor's face darkened. Just like before, he disappeared in the blink of an eye. No one knew where he had gone. Or rather, he had used some sort of special treasure to allow Yi Tianyun to escape without anyone noticing, and with such speed. Is he messing with me? If he had a treasure like that, why couldn't he use it right from the start? Could it be that he can't use it while he's sealed? The Vile Emperor thought back to what had happened. Yi Tianyun hadn't been able to escape while he was sealed. Once he escaped or the seal disappeared, he would instantly disappear. His expression didn't improve after learning this. This meant that if he wanted to capture Yi Tianyun, he would have to use all sorts of seals. Once he escaped, he would be able to escape with ease, and he wouldn't even know how. He didn't even know what sort of treasure could allow him to escape so easily from right under his nose. Generally speaking, if you couldn't stop someone, you would have to escape through the void. Empyrean God Tower Cloud had done that. The Vile Emperor had paid a heavy price to save Empyrean God Tower Cloud. Empyrean god Tower Cloud was an experienced Empyrean god, after all. He had to be saved no matter what. He hadn't sensed Yi Tianyun's escape at all. He had vanished into thin air, just like that. Apart from feeling angry, this also made him feel troubled. Who the hell is this kid? How can he know so many strange moves? Even the Fecta divine realm wouldn't be able to do this. The evil emperor clenched his fists tightly. He had lost all face when the Heaven Creator clan was rescued once again, especially when he couldn't defeat the other party. It was a great humiliation. Lord Vile Emperor, the invaders have escaped. Should we give chase? The evil god army flew over and asked. Everyone go back and rest. The Vile Emperor snorted, then turned and left. The rest of the evil spirit army looked at each other. Were they going to let them go just like that? Lord Vile Emperor, are we going to let them go just like that? Not only did they invade us, but they also managed to escape. If word gets out, the evil spirit race's reputation? Boom. The evil emperor waved his hand, and the evil spirit deity who had just spoken was instantly reduced to ashes, scaring the other evil spirits into retreating. My orders are not to be refuted, but to be obeyed. The evil emperor glanced at them coldly and continued to fly inside. They could only look at each other, suppress the fear in their hearts, and obediently follow. Since evil emperor had already said that, what else could they do? Even though the evil emperor had failed this time, he was still the evil emperor, the most powerful being here. After the evil emperor returned, he sat on the throne with a gloomy expression. Not long after, an evil spirit race walked out from behind him with a trembling body. After taking a closer look, he realized that the evil spirit race was covered in wounds. Logically speaking, with his cultivation base, his wounds should be able to heal quickly. However, it was impossible for him to do so. It looked like an attack mark that had always been on his body and could not be removed. Why did you stop me? They have already killed their way here, trampled on my territory for so long, and still managed to escape. Why can't I chase after them? The evil emperor looked at the evil spirit race with a sharp gaze. Lord Evil Emperor, have you forgotten about the situation with Lord Evil Spirits? It seems like we have the upper hand, but that is not necessarily the case. Many powerful cultivators have buried themselves in the various divine territories. Once you start a massacre, it will cause a battle between the divine emperors. That is, when they come out, they might be sealed. The evil spirit race said with a trembling voice, Therefore, Lord Evil Emperor, you have to endure everything. I know you still have many abilities that you have not used. Once everything is set up, it will be time for them to end. As for those divine territory masters, they will all become your slaves. Moreover, this area is just a small distribution to distract them, so it is not a big deal even if it is destroyed. The evil emperor's gaze was cold. After remaining silent for a long time, he nodded. I have indeed gone mad with anger. At this critical juncture, I have to remain calm. The Heaven Creator race has been captured, and we have indeed lost some support. Fortunately, everything has been set up. What should be done will not change. The evil emperor sneered, and Yi Tianyun's figure appeared in the depth of his eyes, but the corner of his mouth curled up into a disdainful smile. Not bad. If it wasn't for this place suppressing this emperor's power, then this emperor's power is really not enough. The evil emperor immediately went to make some preparations. Everything was gradually set up. Tianyun quickly brought them to the Three Realms divine territory and then released them. When they came out, they were stunned by the scene in front of them. They thought that Yi Tianyun would use some method to escape with them. They did not know whether they could escape successfully, but they still chose to believe in Yi Tianyun. However, they did not expect that Yi Tianyun would directly escape with them to the Three Realms divine territory. Escaping to the Three Realms divine territory was one thing, but how long had it been? It was probably less than a short while, and they were already back in the Three Realms divine territory. What kind of speed was that? Was his ability to tear through space that monstrous? Many heavenly gods could tear through space, then forge a special teleportation space. They could then step over it in a single step. It was similar to a special kind of greater teleportation. This kind of teleportation could teleport very far in one go, but the further it was, the longer it would take. Did the evil emperor ask Lee Tae-yun to slowly tear through space and then teleport over? That was impossible. Everything was too strange. What's going on? We're all back? The Cloudpiercer Region Master and the others were all stunned by Lee Tae-yun's move. I used a treasure to teleport back. I paid a huge price. Every time I use it, I can only use it once. Lee Tae-yun found an excuse. Such a mystical treasure? Their eyes lit up. The world was vast and there were all sorts of strange things. It was very normal for such a special treasure to exist. It's almost impossible to obtain. Moreover, it can only be teleported back here alone. It can be considered a treasure gifted by the heavens. The only problem is that when it's sealed, it can't be used. Lee Tae-yun made up another excuse. Otherwise, he would not be able to explain himself. As the Alliance Master, he had to explain himself. Although it was fine if he didn't say anything, it would still make them feel uncomfortable. After all, if such a good treasure could be created, it should be shared. That would greatly reduce the number of casualties. Chapter 1729. They didn't think that Lee Tae-yun's explanation was a lie. After all, they believed him because of the protective shield of the god realm of the three realms. That's great. It's a divine tool for escaping. We came back in the blink of an eye. It's amazing. How many times can this thing be used? The Fecta Domain Lord smacked his lips. He really wanted to have it. I think it can only be used a few times. At most 10 times? Lee Tae-yun gave a random time. How many times can it really be used is already enough. With this little ability to escape, you're really the most suitable person to be the alliance leader. If anything goes wrong, we can escape together. Not only is it good for escaping, but the key is that the alliance master's strength is incredible. He can heal us and fight the evil emperor. This kind of strength is more than enough to be the alliance master. He's already so powerful after breaking through from heavenly master to heavenly god. If he breaks through one more time, won't he be able to crush the evil emperor? Alliance master, how did you do it? It's the first time in my life that I've seen someone who can fight beyond their cultivation level. It's incredible that he can fight an upper heavenly god. The domain lords kept praising Lee Tae-yun. They felt that he was too powerful, especially after breaking through. It was like he was a different person. If not for the fact that his face hadn't changed, they would have thought that another powerhouse had become the alliance master. Lee Tae-yun smiled and didn't explain much. It was fine as long as everything went according to their ideas. They could think whatever they wanted. Alliance Master of the Heavenly Cloud Alliance, we don't want to say much. You saved our lives and the rest of our clansmen. We really can't repay you in this life. If it's possible, we want to join you. Right now, we are weak and our numbers are relatively small, but we do not ask for anything. We only hope that we can assist you and destroy the evil spirit race together. Heavenly Goddess Yu Ji's status was not low. She stood up to talk to Lee Tae-yun. Her cultivation was not high, but she was able to represent them. It was very likely that she had a royal bloodline in her bloodline. Lee Tae-yun's eyes lit up. He hadn't even mentioned anything, but these heaven creators had actually chosen to join him. This was truly a joyous occasion. If that was the case, he would be able to reach the standard soon. Previously, they needed so many Empyrean venerables. Now that so many Empyrean gods and Empyrean venerables had joined them, it could almost be said that they had almost reached the target, and they had even exceeded it. Of course, it didn't mean that he could join right away. He glanced over and saw that only a small portion of them met the standard. This meant that they still had to continue for a while before they could meet the standard. According to the previous standards, one must have loyalty. If one didn't even have loyalty, how could one talk about joining? Therefore, he had to raise his strength to a certain level before he could be considered to have truly joined. Otherwise, he wouldn't even be considered to have joined. However, according to the current situation, he just had to slowly raise it. Looking around, their loyalty had already reached 60 points. Raising it to 80 or 90 points wouldn't be a problem. They had just joined, so it was impossible for them to simply hand their lives over to Yi Tianyun. Even if Yi Tianyun had saved them, he wouldn't do something like this. They could use other things as payment, but if they handed over their lives so casually, they would be being irresponsible to themselves. They had to deal with the heretical emperor, so they didn't dare to give up all of their lives before they understood Yi Tianyun. It's my honor to be able to join my force. Yi Tianyun looked at them with a stern expression. I know that a large part of the reason why you're joining my force is because we've been fighting against the heretical emperor. You're only joining because you plan to fight against the heretical emperor with us. I won't say anything else. In any case, our goal is the same. I welcome all of you to join us to destroy the evil spirit race and restore peace to this world. Yi Tianyun naturally didn't think that heavenly goddess Yu Ji and the others had chosen to join him because of his charisma. That was all nonsense. They had simply seen that he was quite powerful, and with this alliance, they would be able to deal with the heretical emperor if they joined. Otherwise, they wouldn't join even if they saved him 10 times, let alone once. After all, deep down in their hearts, they wanted to destroy the evil spirit race, and they wouldn't rest until the evil spirit race was destroyed. It was impossible for them to join a force with no future or with no strength or goals. At most, they would say that they would help and receive various rewards, but it was impossible for them to join. Now that Yi Tianyun had explained it so clearly, Heavenly Goddess Yu Ji and the others didn't feel awkward at all. They only needed to think about it for a moment to understand what was going on. Heavenly Cloud Alliance leader, it's great that you understand. Even though we have a goal in mind, we will all listen to your orders and strengthen the forces of the God realm of the three realms. Elder Mihao told me just now that the God realm of the three realms actually has a very deep connection with us, and that is the divine spirit race. Back then, the divine spirit race was our leader, and they led us to fight against the evil spirit race. Even the seal on the evil spirits was sealed with our help. Now that we can join forces again, it's undoubtedly the best way to do that. Heavenly Goddess Yu Ji smiled. She had immediately learned about the situation after arriving here, and she was able to quickly glean the general situation. It was exactly because of this that she immediately chose to join them. They were once teammates, so it wouldn't be a problem for them to join forces again. Actually, you don't have to listen to my orders. I have a lot of freedom here, so feel free to bring up any ideas you have. My orders aren't the only ones. Good suggestions are the most important, and I don't have to dictate everything, Yi Tianyun said with a smile. He had always allowed his subordinates to control things, and he had to learn to delegate power. Not only was it very tiring to control everything by himself, but it also made it easy to lose people's trust. Another point was that all good ideas would be stifled. Of course, this was mainly because he knew how to use people. Otherwise, delegating power to others would be courting death. Heavenly Goddess Yu Ji and the others looked at each other, and they were quite satisfied with Yi Tianyun's explanation. They also had many ideas, and if they didn't get approval from the Heavenly Cloud Alliance, they would obviously be extremely unhappy. The Heavenly Cloud Alliance leaders' management style is indeed different. The other region lords all hold power firmly in their hands and are unwilling to delegate power at all. If the Heavenly Cloud Alliance leader can say this, then it's perfect for us. Heavenly Goddess Yu Ji and the others smiled knowingly, and they all felt that Yi Tianyun's explanation was very reasonable. After that, they didn't talk much, and Yi Tianyun invited the other region lords to the three realms as guests. After going through a great battle, they felt both excited and refreshed. Chapter 1730. Yi Tianyun's side was victorious and did not suffer any losses. At most, they were injured, but there were no fatalities. This was an unprecedented achievement. In the past, there had always been casualties. This time, if not for Yi Tianyun's powerful healing abilities, a few domain lords would have died before they could escape. After all, the chances of dying were too high under the siege of so many evil spirit race beings. Especially under the suppression of the evil emperor, the pressure was multiplied. Fortunately, no one died in the end. They even saved all the heaven-creating race beings and killed many evil spirit race beings, allowing them to vent their anger. This made them follow Yi Tianyun's lead even more. In the future, if Yi Tianyun had any plans, they would definitely go with him. After all, it was too safe when they fought. With Yi Tianyun healing them, they could fight to their heart's content. Therefore, if Yi Tianyun had any plans to eliminate the evil spirit race, they would immediately go and kill the enemies without hesitation. It's all thanks to the Alliance leader this time. This toast is to the Alliance leader as an apology. I didn't really trust the Alliance leader before, but now I'm convinced. In the future, I'll do whatever the Alliance leader asks me to do. Me too. This toast is to the Alliance leader. The battles in the future will be smoother. Let me also toast to the Alliance leader. Alliance leader will lead us to eliminate the evil spirit race so that they can't stay here. All of them toasted to Yi Tianyun. They were all convinced by Yi Tianyun and trusted him very much. Their current goal was very simple. They wanted to eliminate the evil spirit race. This was the foundation of the alliance. After toasting one by one, the Fecta Domain Lord shook his head and said, "There's no need to be so happy. If we didn't have the method to break through and cooperate with our comrades from the heaven-creating race, it would really be difficult to break through. We would probably be exhausted to death. We can't always rely on the Alliance leader. There are times when the Alliance leader doesn't have enough power. If we're trapped again, we might suffer losses." The Fecta Domain Lord poured cold water on them. He wasn't as happy as the other Domain Lords. He was very calm. When he returned, he had already concluded many things, especially in this situation. Yes, it was a complete victory, but it was also a narrow victory. Fortunately, we were able to break the Heaven Gold Divine Curtain. Otherwise, we really would have been trapped inside, and the Alliance leader would have been exhausted to death. I believe that the Alliance Master has been healing us for a long time, so you must have used up a lot of energy. You have also been fighting against Evil Emperor, so you must have used up a lot of energy. Sword Edge Region Master took a sip of wine. His eyes were calm, and there was no joy in them at all. When the two of them said that, their expressions immediately darkened. There was indeed nothing to be happy about. A victory was a victory, but it could only be considered a narrow victory. It was fine this time, but what about next time? Perhaps the two region masters want to talk about the aspect of strength? Yi Tianyun also took a sip of his wine and looked at them with narrowed eyes. That's right. Our strength is still too weak. If we only rely on one person, we'll really be finished. Next time, there was a need to gather a large number of experts and head there together. However, they could not send too many, lest their forces be depleted and be taken advantage of when the time came. Sometimes, not only do we have to be wary of the evil spirit race, but we also have to be wary of our own side. The Sword Edge Region Master narrowed his eyes. He was talking about other forces. They might not be the evil spirit race, but they could also launch a sneak attack. In this era, there were many selfish people, and some of them might even be controlled by the evil spirit race. When the time came, they would not know what would happen. That was also why only the region masters were sent out, and the others did not go out. The next time they went out, they would at most send a few elders. If there were more, they really did not dare to go out. In the end, we still need more forces to join us. Yi Tianyun looked at them with a serious expression. If we can persuade the Medicine God Temple. The Fecta Region Master shook his head and drank the wine in his glass. He did not finish his sentence, but they all knew what he was going to say. The Medicine God Temple will join us. Yi Tianyun thought for a while, then looked at the Fecta Region Master and said, "Where is the Medicine God Temple? Let me go meet them and see why they have not chosen to join us." That's what I was thinking. The Fecta Region Master smiled. Since he had said that, he must have similar thoughts. After this battle, they realized that they had many shortcomings, such as the lack of replenishment. If the Medicine God Temple joined them, their replenishment would definitely be greatly improved. But the premise was that the Medicine God Temple really joined them. The other region masters looked at each other and saw a hint of anticipation in each other's eyes. If the Medicine God Temple really joined them, their overall strength would definitely be greatly improved. But could they really persuade them? After all, the Medicine God Temple had refused to join them since the very beginning of the Divine Emperor battle. Would they still choose to join them now? This was clearly not in line with their style, especially since they had once had an Divine Emperor. I remember the Medicine God Temple. A long time ago, I asked them to join us in resisting the attack of the evil spirit race, but they chose to refuse. Heavenly Goddess Yuji shook her head, but there was no anger in her eyes. If they refused, it was their own business. She could only say that everyone had their own choice. They all shook their heads. Although they were looking forward to it, it was too difficult to persuade them. So many years ago, they had failed to persuade them. Would they succeed this time? For a moment, the atmosphere was a little negative. They felt that Etienne's proposal might be good, but the success rate was a little low. Don't be too negative. It doesn't matter even if you refuse. I just want to see why the stubborn Medicine God Temple is so stubborn. Etienne's eyes flashed. It's a good thing if you can join us. If you can't, just think of it as me going to exchange for some spirit medicine and get ready for the war. Yes, the Alliance Master is right. I'm just going to take a look. But if you want to contact the Medicine God Temple, you need someone to introduce you. I can help you. The Fecta Domain Master had some connections in this area. If he wanted to enter the Medicine God Temple, he naturally needed a referral. Etienne raised his hand and looked at them with a smile. No, I'm not going to communicate with them directly. I'm going to sneak in and take a good look at the situation inside. Etienne's shocking words really shocked them. They looked at each other. Their Alliance Master really didn't play by the rules. He chose to sneak in. If he was caught, it would be troublesome. If the Alliance Master was caught, wouldn't they be without a leader? Especially if he was caught, the Medicine God Temple would definitely not let him go. Not to mention killing him, they would definitely lock him up for tens of thousands of years. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.